preparing, and now you all are streaming live on the YouTubes. I will
Is that
go
Axel
away.
Abrahams?
Bye bye.
Bye, Axel.
He went from Bogart to some crazy British accent. I don't quite get it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he went from she's a good kid, see to oh, hello, Downton
Yeah,
Abbey.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's looking for someone to fill his glass of porridge.
porridge. All right, so we're live on the YouTube, huh, Ando?
We are live.
So this is technically our second film list live.
Yep.
People will
And
hear this or see this live and not listen to it until 6 months from now, probably.
yeah, because well, there's technically still two podcasts that have not been released yet.
Only two?
I think only, well, actually, no, the
There's
YouTube,
three
the
or
other
four.
YouTube one, the other YouTube one also hasn't been. So
Yeah, because
three.
there's the Axel one. So yeah, so
Yep.
we're three. All right, that works.
We'll make all of our fans work to get to listen in order.
Yeah, they're getting the yeah. If you're like, where the heck is the other films? Huh? You'll get them in time.
Just have to be patient.
I know there are probably like two people that are anticipating it, me and you.
Yeah, well,
So
that's okay. That's better than nothing, I guess.
hey, that's what I say.
I think we have a few though. I think Joe Bear listens, doesn't he?
Yeah, so there you go. Joe Bear and Grandpa James.
And who else was that? Somebody else that emailed me a while back and said that they listened a lot.
Probably Kellum.
Kellum probably, and somebody else too. And I apologize to whoever it is that I'm forgetting, but
Yeah, we no, we get more than five listeners, but we get six.
yeah, we're dangerously close to double digits.
Dangerously.
Are we ready to start? Do you want to just go or do we?
Yeah, I think we just go.
Okay, I will start recording. Um, let me right now.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the film list. You got a list? Send it to me, thefilmlist@gmail.com. I'm your host, Heath Solo, and we're counting down my 1,000 favorite films of all time. Favorite, not necessarily best, but in my eyes, they're all wonderful. Remember, we're also live on the YouTubes. Now, we're backed up audio-wise for the pods because we put a bunch in the can to save them for a rainy day, especially in the summer when everyone's busy. But if you're on the YouTube live, when we go live to do these film lists, because we're going to be doing them live on YouTube, it's like you can get them ahead before anyone else if you watch.
Oh, we should mention our own feed on Apple Podcasts
Oh,
now.
yes. We do have the film list feed is up again. It's been a long time. Rebranded, re
Relaunched.
doused,
Yes.
relaunched. And so
Yes.
if you are listening on daily DVR, this pod, also go to the film list pod. Leave us a review, give us a few stars, and just say, hey, we're listening and maybe even watching. Just help us out so we can get the film list out there. This is a fun pod. Me and Ando love to do it. He's my main producer. Andy, I haven't like officially welcomed you in yet, so welcome back. It's been a few minutes since we
I know.
recorded one of these.
I think our one of our last ones just got released a few days ago. But yeah, I think it's been close to a month since we've actually done this. So
Wow.
I'm excited to be back in the saddle here.
Yeah, we're approaching 800. It's taken us some time, but we're approaching it because today we'll be talking about films 825 to 816. Now it's thrown off a little bit because we did the fiver with Axel. So we can blame Axel for screwing up our numbers, but we'll course correct as we go along. Maybe I forget which pod. I kind of have it written down or on our doc where I think I might have only did seven or eight, so we could get to a whole number at some
Well,
point.
and when we get to that whole number, we're still going to blame Axel anyways. So Axel's going to take the brunt of all blame that we have to go around.
Well,
So
he is the executive producer, I'm the host and you're the producer and co-host.
Yes.
So you know, I was about to pull a old name and I couldn't remember his name. I wanted to say Frank Gifford, but it's not. Who was the God? We worked on the film Shade at his hotel that he owned. I think the Beverly Garland or something. He was a big time producer, did a talk show. Not Phil Donahue, but
Mm.
Merv Griffin. Merv
Oh,
Griffin.
Merv Griffin. Yeah,
Merv
yeah,
Griffin. He was a big time producer.
yeah.
And he, did a lot of things. And that was back in the day when Trader Vic's was right next door to the hotel.
Oh,
The old,
nice.
the wolf, Werewolves of
Yeah.
London,
Yep.
and his hair was perfect. Um, so yeah, that was a long time ago. It was over 20 years ago. All right. So
Oh,
Ando, last we left off at 8:24. I believe it was Snake Eyes.
at 8:26.
8:26. Okay, you'll notice everyone does notice I cannot count in reverse and go the other way. That's why Andy's here
That's
because yes, 8:26.
I'm here for the simple, like third grade math related problems.
Well, that says a lot about me, Ando. Says a lot about me. All right. So anything you want to throw in before we begin this discussion of the next 10 films on my list?
I don't think so. This is just as a little sneak preview, this is a very strange mix of films. More so than we've done in quite a long time. There's some
Oh,
award winners here. There's some truly insane like movies that have pretty much bankrupt studios that are in this group.
wait a minute.
It's just a lot of different things going on
It,
here.
it is
So
it is a collection
yes.
of sorts. It's like the Ocean's 11 crew. Everyone's all a misfit. They're all different. That's what or Ocean 7-Eleven crew, I should say.
So everyone has their little job and they're gonna do it quite well in this one, I think. So
Yes. All right. You ready to go?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right. Coming in at number 825 is a film I saw for the first time I just bought the DVD and I ended up selling the DVD because the Blu-ray came out and I watched the Blu-ray.
Did you watch
So
the Blu-ray before you even watched the DVD?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I've
think
done that
so.
before too.
Yeah, I had the DVD and then I noticed the Blu-ray was coming out. I'm like, I want to watch the Blu-ray, not the DVD, even though I already own the DVD.
Yeah.
Economically, that's idiotic. But
You know what? Being a film and media fan and monetarily being responsible, I don't think are possible to go together.
no, no, no. Because I said to myself, I am not buying a Blu-ray for 3 months. Already bought two,
I was gonna
and I
say
think I bought a third. I got to stop. I have to stop, Ando. All right.
I-
Before we
that
get into our
that'll
therapy
be our
session,
Collectors Anonymous podcast that we start at some point in the future because you and I have a lot of material for that.
oh, and right now, I mean, I think I mentioned this either. I forget if I mentioned it on a pod or not, but the AMC and Regal with the popcorn buckets now.
That's yes.
Oh my God. So I'm like, I'm done. After Mission Impossible, I got like two Mission Impossible different ones. I'm like, I'm done. And I'm like, but what if the Fantastic Four is pretty cool? And
Uh-huh.
Pedro Pascal is on the tin.
Or the Superman one, or I mean, there's other.
I
Mhm.
know. The Karate Kid one is crazy. I
I bet
I,
it is.
I was
Yeah.
I was tempted, but I'm not gonna do it. Okay. Coming in at 825. A noted professor and his dimwit apprentice fall prey to the inquiring vampires while on the trail of an ominous damsel in distress. The film, Ando, the fearless vampire killers, are also known as, pardon me, but your teeth are in my neck, or dancing vampires.
Yes. Or Dance of the Vampires.
Dance of the Vampires,
That's what it
yes.
was titled in Europe.
Dancing Vampires was the
That would
musical I
yes. There actually is a musical of this. Did you
there
know that?
actually is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Premiered November 13th, 1967 on budget of $2 million. It's the first film to make the film list that is directed by Roman Polanski. Rosemary's Baby would be the next year. So this was right before he became a really big deal. Written by Gerard Brock and Roman Polanski. It's also the second vampire film to make the film list. We had Interview with
Mm.
the Vampire way back in 884. starring Jack McGowan as Professor Abrancis. I think I got that right. Roman Polanski himself.
Charles Bronson.
Yes.
Uh,
Roman Polanski as Alfred, Alfie Bass as Chagall the innkeeper, Ferdy Mayne as Count von Krolak, Sharon Tate as Sarah Chagall, and Ronald Lacey, also known as the Nazi who gets chopped up in the propeller blade in Raiders of the Lost Ark, as the
oh,
village idiot.
I did not know that was him.
Yes, yes.
All right. The Fearless Vampire Killer. So, what first attracted me to this film, because I never even really heard of it. And then I saw a clip and I saw Sharon Tate, and I'm like, oh, Sharon Tate. So, so what happened around when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out
Hmm.
is when I was kind of like, the whole Roman Polanski, Sharon Tate murders, that whole thing. But I had never heard this one. I said, oh, it looks really good visually. So it took me a while, but I ended up watching it and I really like it. It's, I didn't realize because a lot of things with this, um, they like when they released it in the US, they wanted to release it coining it as a farce and like because
Yeah.
it is a comedy horror.
Hmm.
um, it's you could feel the old European vibe of this film. Um, it's got a little love at first bite, maybe, and a little of, different things, but Nosferatu. But it's really, I don't know. I just love seeing Sharon Tate on the screen. I am not personally, but I am a Roman Polanski film fan. Not as
Yes.
much as others, but I do like a lot of his films. And it's a fun movie. It's weird. It's it's strange. It's offbeat humor, but I like it.
The I had actually never heard of this. I was shocked. I had never heard of this film until you had it on your list, and then I was even more shocked when I saw it was a Roman Polanski film that I had never heard
Right.
of. So I didn't have time to track it down, but I watched like 10 different YouTube clips this afternoon and
Mhm.
yesterday, just kind of prepping, and I think it looks damn interesting. It actually reminds me a little bit. I mean, not quite as comedic, but like what Young Frankenstein did and what Ghostbusters did, where there is some actual horror in it, but there was other scenes where I was watching that I was really laughing at, and I didn't see the
Yeah.
whole film, so I just not even in context, but I think it looks very interesting. I think I saw it airs on TCM every once in a while, so I'm gonna try and check it out the next time I see it hop on the air. So it looked really interesting. And like you said, Polanski is no matter what you think of the guy and some of the bad shit he has done, he is a hell of a filmmaker. There's no
Yeah.
question about it.
There is no question about that. And, it's very sad. I mean, I hate to fixate on, but the whole Sharon Tate thing, it's like she had her
Oh,
career ahead of her. And I mean,
yeah.
it's just so sad. Because, 2 years
Hmm.
later, she gets, well, after the premiere,
Yeah.
yeah, almost 2 years, well, less than 2 years later, she's murdered. It's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
just it's yeah, and she's just when you see her, she's just magnetic on the screen and just it's
Yeah.
very easy and fun to watch. Great screen presence, I think, is what I'm searching
Yeah,
for. But
there
yeah, it's
really, really could have been a career. I mean, a huge career
hmm
for her. It would have been interesting to see what roles she would have gotten,
hmm
post, where she would have been, would she have done a Mia Farrow and been in all of Roman's films? Or I think she would have branched out too. I mean,
yeah.
and done some, I'm sure she would have been in demand, uh,
Hmm.
you know, which I'm sure she was starting to. And then it's just like a film career that just never had
Oof, it's
everything in
sad.
place. Yeah. And
One of the greatest what ifs in Hollywood history, I think.
yeah, yeah. Next to Pee Wee Herman.
So
Yeah.
yeah, well, and
Oh,
Pee Wee at least did have a lot of
no, he
success
did
and
have a lot.
pretty
I
long
mean,
career, but
yeah, he
he
did.
kind of did some stupid things to himself, but
Yeah,
or maybe not even that, but got in trouble for things that
yeah.
maybe
Tequila.
he's
You know.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So, anyways, do you have anything else to say about the vampire killers?
No, I don't. Do you have
I would go
anything?
more in depth, but I don't. I like I said, I've only seen clips of it,
Okay.
so I
I
can't go
don't
too deep. But I did like what I saw.
I don't know if it's a film a lot of people have seen. So
Hmm.
this is one of those film list recommendations without spoiling it. I mean, you could probably figure out a lot that happens, but it's a nice adventure in old Eastern Europe.
Oh, I do have one scene. The musical adaptation that we talked about
Hmm.
premiered in 1997. directed by Roman Polanski as well. The film, yes, the musical adaptation. The
So was
music
it a
by
play or a movie?
a musical play, yeah,
Oh, a play. Okay. Well,
a
so it's
play,
not
and
on film.
you can see it on YouTube. I didn't have time to watch
Oh,
it, but
okay.
the music was also done by Jim Steinman, who basically did all of the Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell albums,
Oh,
stuff
wow.
with Barbara Streisand, Holding Out for a Hero, that by Bonnie Tyler. So he's actually had some big.
I
I,
need a
I, I
hero.
yeah, I'm curious to check that out too, just because it sounds crazy. So I don't know. Yeah.
I had the best time one time when that song came on. I was in a subway and there was these two African American ladies who were just dancing and singing to when this song was on, and I joined them, and we had like the best 5 minutes. It was awesome. I need a hit. Like it's so cool. Like when because Jenny sent us that meme of the guy with the I was a waitress in a
Yes.
cocktail bar shirt, and the person at Trader Joe, the youngster, was like, "What is that supposed to mean?" Or
Yeah.
what are you making a statement? And it's like
Uh-huh.
it's a hit 80 song. And
It's
then I was cooking dinner and I was singing both verses, but the women in the, anyway. So the Fearless Vampire Killers. All right. 824. Interesting. Another interesting film that I doubt anyone have seen. And
it's on Tubi right now.
okay.
So
It's on
so
Tubi.
it actually you can see. That's how I saw it here a
Oh, you
couple
did
weeks
see?
ago. So
Okay,
yes,
cool.
I
Well,
watched it.
I got a lot of behind the scenes stuff with this one. So,
I assumed you did. So let's
yes.
get into it.
All right, 824. When the US government attempts to weaponize the power of a possessed woman, they soon discover that there are forces that exist in the world that simply cannot be controlled. The film, The Atticus Institute.
Released on January 5th, 2015, written and directed by Chris Sparling. I think I maybe have some of my notes messed up here, but William Mapother as Dr. Henry West, Raya Kilstead as Judith Winstead. I think that's where I got confused. John Rubenstein as Marcus Wheeler, and Heath Santazzo as EMT number two, the
Yeah,
Atticus
I'm in
Institute
this.
solo.
Well, so my buddy Chris, who good friend of mine, we used to live together in Cali, has become a really successful screenwriter and director. Been in three of his films, one that he wrote and two that he directed and wrote. He wrote them all, but two he directed, one he buried, he didn't direct, and I was a voice in that. But so yeah, the Atticus Institute. So I planned a trip with my dad, and we were doing our baseball trip,
Oh, your
and we were
tour
supposed
of
to go to New York and
stadium.
Toronto. And then Chris called me and goes, "Hey, I want you to audition. I'm directing a movie. I got you set up with an audition. Read this part." Read the part. Didn't get the part, even though the director wanted me. But like when it came down, there was someone better for the part. But he did throw me a bone and gave me the EMT. EMT number one didn't make the cut. His line. So I at least have a couple of lines were left.
I
But my
recognize as soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh, I know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a whole scene where I was coming in. It was the aftermath of something, and I'm barking out orders and doing all this. And it was and Chris was like, just do, improv, do your thing, get on. And I was like, cool, I'll do it. And so we did it. And then, we're reviving, I think, a priest, uh, and
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
this whole thing. But then, so it was out one night on demand. I think I had cable at the time. I think I had both DirecTV and cable. It's a long story. Anyway, so I saw that it came out on demand. So I'm like, so I had a bunch of cocktails watching the movie from beginning to end. My friend, actually, Chris's best friend from high school, was also one of my roommates and good friend, Joe Guarneri. He plays like a colonel or something. He's in the film a bunch. Um, and so I'm set in, I'm watching it, and I'm like looking, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy who I didn't get the part, but this guy got it. Then
Oh.
there's a character, there's an actor looks like my cousin Kevin. So Chris would keep calling him like, that's Kevin. Uh, and then I'm ready for my big scene, and it's 3 seconds, and I forget what I say. I'm like, come on, or let's go, let's
Yeah,
go.
it's
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, you're
yeah.
motivating some people to do their
I'm
job better.
motivated to move the gurney. It
Yep.
fades in and fades out.
Yep.
Chris is also in the film. He plays a soldier that gets possessed in one of the scenes where
Oh,
stuff I think comes out of his mouth.
I didn't see that his name on the cast list. I should have
Oh,
paid a little bit closer attention.
yeah,
You
it was
know,
probably lower, but
I need, well, usually I comb through it pretty close, but next time we do one of these films that you have a connection to, I'm gonna have to get your take on who we should
yeah, we're gonna have
give
to
in the
do some
credits.
producing and probably talk
Yes.
off our head. But no, we the days I was shooting, I shot one day, but I think we shot they shot most of it was in a former like mental institution. So we went on a little walk, and
Oh
it was
boy.
pretty freaky. You saw like a wheelchair in the corner and
Uh-huh.
different thing. But yeah, no,
It
yeah, it was pretty freaky. I was like, J.J. Abrams would love this.
it
So,
had the feeling that it was filmed on a location. I mean, it didn't feel like it was
yeah.
on sets or anything. It definitely felt
No, it
that way.
was an old, I believe it was a mental institution. It was some sort of institution, kind of downtown LA near Chinatown, from what I remember. It's been a while.
Hmm.
Uh, but it was cool, like to meet and hang out a little bit with William Mapother. So I'm to Tom Cruise. I'm two
Yeah, one step
degrees,
away.
one
Yeah.
step from Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was cool. It was a really cool crew, and it's funny because there was a lot of extra. There was some extras, and you know how extras, if you watch, well, especially if you watch Ricky Gervais'
Oh, that
show,
show is so brilliant.
it's very accurate. A lot of the
Okay.
extras are just blabbing their mouths, whatever. And it's funny because I'm there, my buddy Joe's there. They don't know that we know the director really well. I mean,
Oh, of
so
course.
it
Yep.
wasn't anything bad said, but was just waiting. There was one guy that was he was kind of a pain in the ass. Like there'd be direction given. There's one time where William Mapother was coming off set like after his take and almost slipped, and and this guy was just yapping and yapping. I'm like, dude, shut up. I'm like, we're rolling. It's just one of those. There's always that one apple that has to.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I don't remember who it
I think
was, but
that's just about any job ever, I think.
yeah. But I'm like, that's the thing. But a movie set, you never know who's connected. Like one of the PAs, I think this is the one where one of the PAs was the son of one of the people who funded the movie. I think that's what it was.
Oh.
And I think he was giving him a hard time. And I happen to
Hmm.
know who the PA was. I mean, I'd be
Yep.
nice to anyone anyway. I mean, I was a PA once.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, you have no clue. Like
Uh-huh.
you you just be nice to everyone just because it's the right thing to do, but you never know who's who.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, you never know
Just
how they
because
could
someone's
come
a
back to
PA,
bite you.
good
Yeah.
chance they're connected. I mean,
Hmm.
that's the way it goes. So
Yeah. So when this was, my notes say released in January of 2015. So do you remember when this was shot? Was this like a pretty quick production, or was this had to
it,
sit on the show
I
for a while,
think
or?
it might have been the summer of 2013
Okay, so it took a little while for
or
post-production and stuff.
2014. I can't remember. It was in the summer. It was shot in the summer because it was definitely during baseball season. I think in
Oh
June
yeah, because you
or
were on
May,
your
June, end of
tour
May,
thing.
early
Yep.
June, I think. So when did it came out? What was the exact date again?
January 5th, 2015 is when it was the release date
No,
that I
okay.
have.
I'm gonna say the summer of 2014. I want to say.
Okay.
I
So
don't know. That's a
pretty
quick
quick turnaround.
turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if it was 2013, that'd be like a year and yeah, it'd be like a year and a half. It's
Well, because
possible. It was
I,
one
I
of
f-
those
I figured there
years.
had to be some because like it kind of blends documentary footage with or like not documentary but like fake
It's shot
documentary
like a
footage
documentary. Yeah, yeah.
with like what do you call it, closed circuit camera TV shots of like security footage, all these different kind of mixed media things. So I was wondering if that made it last longer before it came out or what. I actually really enjoyed it. It was a fun little low budget. It reminded me a lot of an X-Files episode or something
Yeah.
Stephen King would have written, maybe even Twin Peaksy a little bit. So
Hmm.
it's a
It had all those
fun little
elements.
budget.
It's a
Yeah.
nice little like if you're into that type of stuff,
Hmm.
it is a fun not I would say fun, but like Axel would say a fun watch.
Yeah.
Like
It
like not
definitely would
meaning
be
you
an
love
F. Yeah.
yeah, fun watch. No, but it's an interesting film and I think people would like this. Again, it's one of those films I don't know if anyone, I'm sure people have seen it, but it's not well known.
Well, and I
So
think I recognized it when I saw the list, but I'm guessing it's because you've talked about it on a random pod at some point, like way
yeah,
back when. So I was like, somewhere in my brain that name had stuck in there. So yeah, it was either on Tubi or Pluto. It's on one of those two free streaming services, and
okay,
so I
cool.
watched it on there, and it was I didn't it was done. And you know how sometimes when you watch a super low budget thing, you're like, oh, that was kind of a waste. I did not feel it was a waste. I really kind of enjoyed it.
No,
So
no, it was I think it was a few $100,000 budget.
yeah.
Like it was like 400,000 maybe or whatever, or two or three. Well, it was a little, but it was a good sized crew. I don't remember. I remember I knew the budget, but now for my podcast, I can't freaking remember. But it was around that. It didn't cost a lot to make. Um, but it was fun. It was fun to do, and I enjoyed it, even though I got cut out. Come on, Chris. Save my, you don't have to cut me out of the whole movie. And he didn't. He kept me in.
Well, and it's a pretty, if I remember right, it's a pretty short, like pretty brisk. I want to say it's like maybe 90 minutes or so. It
Yeah,
was
yeah, it's a short.
pretty, so it definitely slimmed down, which I think for this kind of movie, I think it actually helps.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it does actually. I bet you, I don't know if the effects didn't come out as right or they really needed that scene. It was like, one of those,
hmm.
for time, they probably just decided to snip, snip.
So before we move on to the next one, we have some comments from some first ever film list comments, I think.
Oh, here we go.
They are, oh shoot, and I just lost my chat thing.
Appetite. Oh,
No, I lost the chat.
well, I should
So I'll
probably
get back.
read
I'll
it.
get back to those in a second. Did you have anything
Yeah.
else to say about the Atticus Institute?
No, no.
Okay,
I
here.
really like this film, and it comes in at 822, and it's a personal film for me, of course.
Okay, so the DVR Podcast Network comments and says, "You guys are awesome. I
Got
w
a list, send it to me.
I want to learn to weaponize the power of Brett. I'm not sure where that came from.
That
I
came
want to hear the.
from that came from the description of Atticus Institute.
Oh, that's right.
They were going to weaponize her abilities.
I want to hear the story of why he had DirecTV and cable.
Okay, I will. You know what? Well, let's aside it. The best thing film list he's ever seen on YouTube. Um,
Yes.
so I'm a huge sports fan, and at that time I was recording like everything. But where I lived, I couldn't get an HD satellite. So I needed HD. So I got cable so I could have HD, but they didn't have all the sports packages I needed. So I
I
kept
think
the
I've heard this
DirecTV.
story now that you're talking about it. Yes.
I
I,
guess I was
I,
rich. I guess I was rich then because the bill was pretty expensive
You know what
each
though?
month.
When you're into sports or into movies or something, it's you just gotta
I
do
mean,
what
I
you gotta
got
do.
use out of it. I mean,
Yeah,
whatever I was paying, believe me, I
yeah. So it was well, no, yeah. You got your worth out of it. Just think of it as that.
I just have DirecTV now, just so you know. Plus, I don't have cable as well.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you.
Let's should we move to 823?
Let's do it. All right.
Yes, this is another one that's on Tubi or Pluto as well because I watched this a couple nights ago because I haven't seen it in 35 years. So let's
Yeah,
get into it.
so yeah, this film I again it was a rental. I didn't see it in the theater, but it was one of the most rentals that I recorded and watched all the freaking time. Um Freddie the gym teacher has to teach remedial English in summer high school if he wants tenure. Pretty good, The film, Summer School.
Released on July 22nd, 1987. Made 36 million. It opened at number 3 at the box office that week. And this, just because I love going back to some of these, this is the top, well, I'm going to say the top 11 movies that week at the box office. Number 11, Predator. Number 10, Adventures in Babysitting. Number 9, Revenge of the Nerds Part 2, Nerds in Paradise. Number 8, Dragnet. Number 7, Full Metal Jacket. Number 6, Jaws 4, The Revenge. Number 5, the
Saw
debut
that
of
in the
LeBon.
theater.
Let's. If there's a shark movie you haven't seen in the theater, I will be impressed. Number 4 or number 5 was the debut week of La Bamba.
Oh,
Number four was the debut week of Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
saw that in the theater.
Number 3 was Summer School. Number 2 was the re-release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and number 1 was RoboCop. Like almost all of those movies still have some.
That's a pretty amazing
Yeah,
films to be out there. That's that weekend or the year?
that's that weekend. That weekend
Jeez,
at the box
Louise
office.
Dreyfus.
Like all of
Talk
those are
about
films
summer
that are,
movies.
yeah, they're all remembered. I mean, none of those films, most people you could say, have you heard of this movie? And most people would say yes to every single one of those films.
Right.
So yeah, directed by Carl Reiner, um, who has directed lots of other comedies. Written by Jeff Franklin, starring Mark Harmon as Freddie Shoop, Kirstie Alley as Miss Robin Elizabeth Bishop, Robin Thomas as Vice Principal Phil Gills, Courtney Thorne Smith as Pam House,
Mm-hmm.
Shawnee Smith as Rhonda Altabello, Patrick Labiorto. Oh, I cannot say this name. Labiorto. That's the French name I can never get. As Kevin,
Labiotto. Yeah.
and Dean Cameron as Francis Chainsaw Grimp.
Chainsaw. So when I first moved to LA, where the heck did we go? I want to say it was the Hollywood Athletic Club. I think that's what it was. It was one of these bars in Hollywood where you walk upstairs, and a buddy of mine was working what was called for Cenex, which was extras casting for non-union actors.
Mm-hmm.
So we joined with him and became friends with him when we first moved out there, just to, you know,
Yeah.
see if we could get on some sets or whatever. Um, and so we went to this party, and of course, the actor who played Chainsaw was there, sitting in a chair, was holding court, and we're like, "Oh shit, it's Chainsaw!" I mean, this is 10
Yes.
years after summer school, but
Uh-huh.
so I guess I want to say was my one of my first celebrity sightings when I moved to LA. My buddy saw Luke Perry at a Taco Bell near Warner Brothers. Julianne, we were at Virgin Record Store on Sunset. We saw Julianne Moore, but I only saw the back of her head. My other friends confirmed, but she was in Virgin
Wow.
Records. So those are some early
Yeah.
and Chainsaw.
Chainsaw, that's a good one though. Chainsaw, that's a good one. That's a deep cut.
But it's one of your typical as a 13-year-old or 12-year-old. I was 12 years old, having this home, watching it.
Hmm.
I wasn't allowed to see Revenge of the Nerds, but I did. I had my
Yeah.
ways.
Yep.
Not the internet, but bootleg VHSs at a friend's house.
Yeah.
Um,
Friend's basement. I saw
friends, yeah.
so many movies I was not supposed to
I
see
saw
in my
some
friend's
things for the
basement.
first time in a friend's basement that
Yes.
shocked me at a young age.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't Brett's basement. Anyway,
That's a
could have
different
been.
pod.
It could have been.
Yeah.
But this movie I love. I mean, I was a big Mark Harmon fan. I mean, I was like 12-year-old, but like I think because I believe he already did Moonlighting, his
And
reoccurring on Moonlighting,
he had just left
Saint Elsewhere.
St.
Or
Elsewhere. Yep, like the
okay,
year before. Yep.
yeah, I didn't watch Saint Elsewhere as a kid. I watched it actually
Yeah.
10 years later
Later.
when I first moved to LA. One of the stations had Saint Elsewhere, Hill Street Blues, all those. So
Oh,
I was
yep.
recording them. I watched all the Saint Elsewheres. Uh, anyway, could totally go on a tangent about that, but no, summer school was just of my youth. I'm sure and the best moment is the best grade was a guy who was stuck in the bathroom the whole summer. My
Yes.
zipper got stuck.
Yeah.
But Courtney Thorne Smith, I had a little crush on in this film. Let's
And
just put it that way.
it was one of her very first roles too. She
Yeah,
was
this is
very,
pre Melrose.
yep.
So
And the one I was surprised to see was Shawnee Smith, who like
yeah,
now I
I
think of
forgot she
as
was in it.
she's the pregnant girl.
Yes, yes.
And she's basically like a horror icon and all these horror
Yeah.
things. And I was like, whoa, what? And she's playing this super sweet pregnant girl in this. And
Yeah, right.
I had
Hey, early
forgot
career. Yeah.
I had completely forgotten she was in it till I threw it on the other night when I was watching it. So it's because I'd say it had been forever since I had seen it. And
I always
there's
get her confused with Brooke Langdon.
oh, they actually have a similar
They
look.
have a similar look. Well, then you could
Uh-huh.
really throw in Kristen Davis if you wanted to. It was
Yeah.
like I bet you the three of them were auditioned for a lot of the same roles
I
back in the day.
bet they were. It's the the things I had. Have you watched this recently at all?
I haven't watched it recently. I watched it a ton as a kid
Yeah, that
and probably when I
was
was in college, and I haven't seen it in a while, but
That was kind of what,
That's a
like,
fave.
I was basically threw it on while I was doing notes for this, so I was kind of half watching it because I hadn't been seeing it in so long. And a couple things that's like, I mean, Kirstie Alley at the time never even thought about it, but she's basically playing Rebecca Howell from the first couple seasons she's on Cheers. Before Rebecca on Cheers becomes like more of the crazy Rebecca, like she's
Yeah.
the ball buster the first couple seasons she's on there, and that's kind of what she's playing here. Um, and there's one scene that I remember at the time thinking it was the funniest damn thing I'd ever seen. And then seeing it now after what's happened in high schools, I'm like, huh, that's
Yes.
it's when they recreate the Chainsaw Massacre in and
Yeah.
it's like kids running out with blood. Like if I showed my wife that, who's an eighth grade teacher right now, she would be horrified by that.
Oh, and she'd
And
probably
I'm
kill
like,
you.
yeah. And I'm like, wow, I don't remember. And I remember, I forgot that was in there. But when I see it, like, I remember thinking that was the funniest damn thing in the world back in the 80s.
I thought it
So
was
it's,
funny and awesome, but
yes.
for an 80s kid, this
Hmm.
was appropriate. I
Yeah.
mean, well, you could say whether or not it's appropriate for
Well,
kids, but the
I mean,
way we grew up and the
yeah.
way life was now, you'd get like 100 complaints if you showed this movie in a
Yeah.
classroom or something, or did something like that.
Yeah. So it was one of those things where I'm like, huh, this was definitely a product of the 80s. But I still had kind of fun with it. I did it wasn't like
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's
some of
fun.
those 80s comedies don't age very well, but I thought this one, besides a couple things like that, I thought it was a fun flick
Yeah,
watching it
no.
all these years later.
Yeah, no, it was one of, again, one of my adolescent favorites.
Hmm.
Um, Now you'll get some adolescent favorites that are still in my top
Yes.
50.
Yes.
This, at the time was probably one of my favorite movies, but I had to give it some due. A little summer school at UCLA quarterback Mark Harmon. Uh, big Mark Harmon guy, even though I've never watched NCIS, but I feel like I have by
Yeah.
watching the previews.
Well, that's Mark Harmon is one of those guys I always really, really like, but when I look at his filmography, I'm like, there's really not a whole lot that I'm a huge fan of that he
There
has
was
done.
Have you
But I
ever
do like
seen the
him.
Presidio with Meg Ryan?
Oh, I have not seen it. I know what you're talking about, though, but
I
I've never
remember my
watched it.
parents loved it. I saw it. I don't remember. I want to say it has some Zodiac because it's set
Mm,
in the Zodiac. I don't know if it's the Zodiac time or that park where one of the
yeah,
murders happened or
in
something.
San Francisco, yeah,
Yeah, it takes place, but that one I want to revisit. I'm
yeah,
curious to see because I saw it young, but I don't think I watched it later. Um, but yeah, Mark Harmon was known as the fixer, like Heather Locklear. Your series is failing, you bring in Mark Harmon. Heather
yes,
Locklear did that a few times, with Melrose, as we talked
uh-huh.
about. And I don't know if Spin City she was the star already or if she came in or not. I don't remember.
No, she came in later because the
Okay.
originally it was what's her name, the brunette,
Was it Carla Gugino?
Carla Gugino,
Yeah.
yes, she was the original. Yep, I still come across that on TV every once in a while. So I've always loved Spin City, especially the
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox years.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
so
what was I gonna say? Yeah, this kind of you kind of mentioned it too. Like it's one of those 80s comedies where I wouldn't put it on the level of like Breakfast Club or Fast Times at
no,
Ridgemont
no,
High, but I would
not
put
at
it on
all.
the level with Revenge of the Nerds and some of those other ones that aren't.
I have Revenge of the Nerds much higher, because Revenge of the Nerds to me, like that was an
Yeah.
iconic movie for me.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah, it's not at the level of a Breakfast Club or even a Ferris Bueller's Day Off or
Yeah.
a lot of the John. I was about to say Howard Hughes, John Hughes stuff. Um, but yeah, it's in like that second tier of yeah, we're not going to necessarily remember this movie in 40 years. I
Yep.
do
Yeah.
because I saw it so many times, it's hard to forget it. But it's in that lesser tier, yeah.
Hmm.
But still a fun movie, a very 80s. I eat up the 80s stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a kid
It's
in the 80s. I mean, it's hard not
well,
to like not put these movies on my favorites.
and
When they were
it
favorites of mine half my life.
like you said, this when this came out, like I say, I'm only a couple years younger than you, but I saw it probably around the same time when I was 12 or 11. And
Yeah.
all these kids were high school kids, so it's all like these kids are like, oh, I want like it's when we're idolizing that age group of kid anyways. So I mean, it was hit at the perfect time for our age group for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. We were coming
Yeah,
of age, Ando.
Yes, I know. The only, the
No,
only
I
other,
meant we were like we were
oh, we were,
teens.
yes, we
Like you
already,
not now we're coming of something else we don't want to
now,
talk about
now,
at
yeah, no,
parties.
we're coming up to that hill.
Yeah.
The
Running
only,
up that hill.
yeah, that's
Sorry.
coming back too soon. Did you see the preview for that?
No. I haven't
Yeah,
seen the preview yet.
it doesn't really give anything away, so
Okay.
it's worth watching.
Well,
The,
I'm sure it's going to be great.
I did say was filmed at the same high school as a couple other famous 80s movies.
Oh,
Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 and The Karate Kid were also filmed in this same high school. So
wow.
a lot of 80s film locations were used over and over again, so that's not really surprising. But
Right, right. All right.
so yeah, so we go to a film that's a little less fun than Summer School.
Talk about going from country
Yeah.
music to heavy metal, right?
This is Whiplash, not the movie Whiplash. This is like Whiplash of seeing, yeah.
All
Let's
right.
talk about this next one.
Coming in at 822 is a film I saw in the theater with my buddy Corey and Justin in good old Burbank, California. Keller is facing every parent's worst nightmare. His 6-year-old daughter, Anna, is missing, and as minutes turn to hours, panic sets in. Ando. It doesn't say Ando on the thing, but I'm just still. The film, God, already 12 years old.
Oh,
Prisoners.
that's nuts. 12 years old. Released on September 20th, 2013, made 61 million on a $46 million budget. It opened at number one at the box office, replaced Insidious Chapter 2, and was replaced 1 week later by Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2. It's the first
Oh,
film to make the film list that has been directed by Denis Villeneuve, written by Aaron Guzikowski, starring Hugh Jackman as Keller Dover, Jake Gyllenhaal as Detective Loki, Viola Davis as Nancy Birch, Maria Bello as Grace Dover, Terrence Howard as Franklin Birch, Melissa Leo as Holly Jones, and Paul Dano as Alex Jones.
all day. Oh, man.
This film, holy shit. Solo, let's talk about Prisoners.
Yeah, this film's intense.
Oh,
I remember going into the theater thinking, should I see this in the theater? Like it was one of those, like,
uh-huh.
it looked awesome, but I was like set for this. And man, up until the whistle, that's all I'm gonna say. Uh, this movie, you know, I've only seen it the one time in the theater. No, I think I saw it a little after when it came out, but I haven't seen it in a while. And I was gonna rewatch it for the pod. I just didn't have time because I realized it's a long movie. So last night, remember I said I'm gonna watch Prisoners,
Mm-hmm.
and then I started talking about my wife about life stuff, and that went on for a half hour. Then was like, well, I should go to bed. It's too late to watch this movie. So I decided to start making the list that I said I wouldn't do of things I need to watch. So I did that for like a half hour. Then it was like 11:30. I'm like, should have been in bed 90 minutes ago. Uh, and then I watched an episode of Daredevil season 3. So that was fun. So I didn't see Prisoners. Now I could have watched Prisoners in that time, but I didn't. But it's on. My wife's never seen it, so I definitely want to watch it. But I mean, it just seems like Jake Gyllenhaal's in a lot of movies I love. He's casted in like some of my favorites, and of course Hugh Jackman is great. But Paul Dano, like when I first recognized him in There Will Be Blood, and I'm like, this dude's weird, but he's good. He's good. And then of course this movie, he's that off the wall, like uneven, uncomfortable, scary dude. Kind of like who's the dude in Parks and Rec that shows up and all he does is
Oh,
stare?
what the hell is his name?
I forget his
Yeah,
name.
I know what you're talking about, and I'm drawing a blank right now. Yeah. Oh, son of a bitch. What is that
But
guy's name? I'll
but
I'll
this
find it.
yeah, this film, I mean, it just felt so real. Like this could happen. Um it
Oren.
was what?
Oren.
Oh, yeah. But this film's intense, and I think with time and more rewatches in another 10 years, it might be higher on my list. But it's a good spot for it because there's so many other films I love more than it, but it's tough to when you start
This
getting
this film, Paul Dano also, I don't know, did you ever see Little Miss Sunshine?
Oh yeah. Oh, was he in that?
He's the kid.
Oh, that's
The one that
right.
wants to go to be a pilot and he can't go because he's blind, half blind, and
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
he's also the kid in Cowboys and Aliens.
Okay, so I know uh
But the thing is
Paul
Paul Dano
Dano.
he is such a damn chameleon and such an amazing actor. And this, I did not see this in the theater. I saw it on either disc or Netflix or something, and it was one of those movies. Like I've only seen it the one time. I did watch some clips this afternoon again just to kind of refamiliarize myself with it. And I honestly don't think I can ever watch this film again,
Oh, yes.
especially
You got
now.
Passion of the Christ syndrome that I have.
Well, and now that I have kids,
Yeah.
and it feels so freaking real. And Hugh Jackman, so the Hugh Jackman stuff, I had forgotten how, like when he goes off the deep end in this, he is fucking scary.
I'll
And
tell you,
like
I would want him if I was missing,
oh,
I would want him to come find
oh,
me.
it is just, it is nuts. And they're like, when he goes toe to toe with Paul Dano a couple times, and Paul, I mean, it looks real. I'm
I
like,
know. I
the
know.
scene I'm watching,
That's
I'm like,
one of the
whoa,
big
what the
things of this
hell?
film, Ando, is that it does feel like I forget if true crime was starting to get big around this time. Probably. It had
Yep.
probably already been mainstream around this time. Um, but it felt like I was watching something real. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
With and Gyllenhaal, who's also just awesome. This whole cast is just freaking fantastic.
Melissa Leo,
But
man.
it's
What a from Homicide Life on the
oh
Street to winning Oscars and playing some crazy characters. I
yes.
mean, she's
Oh.
so good.
Yeah, and I mean, and well, even Terrence Howard, who I'm not always a big fan of his, I'm hit or mix on him. Even I mean, he's great in this. Viola Davis obviously is always
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
But it was
I
just I
love
don't
Maria Bello too. I'm
yes.
ever since ER, I had a little crush on Maria Bello, not
Yeah.
gonna lie. And then you remember she did, and it was a pretty good show, but they canceled it after a season. You know the show with Helen Mirren, the prime suspect, her big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, they redid it in New York, and Maria Bello played that role.
That's right.
And it's actually a pretty good cast. I want to say, I think either Aidan Quinn or Tony Goldwyn. I can't remember which one's it. I get them confused um,
Yes.
at times, but I've always been a big Maria Bello fan, and she's going to be in The Waterfront, that new show on Netflix this summer with Holt McElhaney, and
Oh, I
she's in
don't
it.
think I've seen anything about
Okay.
that.
Yeah, happen to see it on Netflix. I haven't seen it advertised, but that's a
She's
July show, I believe.
she was also awesome in A History of Violence. She's
History of
freaking awesome
Violence.
in that.
Yeah.
And that other one with they're in Vegas, I think, and it's with William H. Macy. What the hell's the name of that? I think he one of them got nominated for an Oscar for that, I think. The Cooler.
Oh, the cooler. Is Alec Baldwin in that?
Yeah, Alec Baldwin's
Yeah.
in that too.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. I remember
he's
the cooler.
yep, another good one.
Damn. It gets harder, Ando, as you go down this list, and I'm trying to, as you could see my worksheet from
I
time to
know.
time. I mean, I'm constantly thinking about it. And I know most of these we're not going to get to till you're in
Yes.
your 50s, but
Yeah, that's
it's just
true.
like but it's just like it gets harder and harder to do.
Yeah.
You would think 1,000 films, okay, I'll just put them all in. That's why I made the Treasure of the Sierra Madre mistake early on, because I was just put a bogey movie here. And I'm like, wait a minute. And then you guys called me out like, this is a really good movie. How's it only in Heath's a bogey fan? And I'm like, you guys are right. So of course, Chain Reaction slid in there
Well,
as we did.
and when he and I did that first one, that's when you had been gone for like a month over in Europe, and we were giving you more shit. We're like, let's just give him some shit
That
here.
was
So
great. I loved
that
it. I
was,
loved it. I loved it.
and this I did a little more reading about this film too, and it was originally it was supposed to be Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale starring in this thing, and Mark Wahlberg I guess still stayed on as producer, and he was like instrumental in getting this thing made.
Yeah.
I mean, and at one time Leo was attached to this thing, DiCaprio, and
Yep.
it's just
And a couple different directors, and
yeah,
Timothy Chalamet auditioned. Didn't
yes.
get the part, and of course Dune years later.
Eventually, yeah, eventually he hooks up with Villeneuve again, but yeah,
Yeah.
this. This was, you know what? I think that's why I watched this finally, because I didn't really have any interest in it. And I'm a huge fan of Arrival that Villeneuve did. And I think it was after I saw Arrival, I'm like, I got to check out the rest of this guy's stuff. And
Right, right.
that's when I went to see Prisoners. Because I think it was one that I was like, I didn't really, don't know if I wanted it. And I actually went and looked at my letterbox from way back when I watched, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars first time I saw it. So I'm like, damn, this must be better than I remember. And just seeing the clips again this morning, I'm like, holy shit, I forgot this. Yeah,
Yeah.
what an amazingly intense film.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
Roger
Prisoners.
Deakins, one of my favorite cinematographers, worked on it. He was nominated for an Academy Award. I don't know. I don't think he won.
Nope, this was his 12th cinematography nomination, and he had not won up to
Oh,
this
that's
time.
right.
He does
What?
win in a few more after this, but it's a film we will be covering soon.
Okay.
So
All right.
we can save it for them.
All right. We'll save it for them.
Yeah,
I think he says for them.
he didn't win until his 15th nomination.
That's
So
crazy. I
yeah.
mean, anyway. All right. The next film.
Yes, are we
I'll
ready?
admit, I love the film when I saw it. I haven't seen it since. So this is one that I I'm not quite urban cowboying it. As you know, if you listen to the film list, you'll if you listen to that
I'll
episode.
have some things to say about this after you finish your intro. So
Yeah. So a CIA researcher, Ando, in Manhattan finds all of his co-workers dead and must outwit those responsible until he figures out who he can really trust. The film, 3 Days of the Condor, based on the book, 6 Days of the Condor, which I love as a joke. I first saw this in college, and my buddy John Miller was like, wait, what happened the other 3 days? You know, pretty funny. So
that
three days of the Condor.
that's when they do like the inevitable 6 episode miniseries
Right.
on
This would
Netflix.
be this would be a Netflix
That's
series.
released on September 25, 1975, made 41 million on a $20 million budget. It was the seventh highest grossing film of 1975, directed by Sidney Pollack, written by Lorenzo Semple Jr. and David Raffiel, as you already said, based on the novel by James Grady. Stars Robert Redford as Turner. It's one of 7 films he did with Sidney Pollack. Faye Dunaway as Kathy, Cliff Robertson as Higgins, Max von Sydow as Joubert, John Houseman as Mr. Wabash or Wabash. So yeah, 3 Days of the Condor. This one I actually didn't see until about a week ago. I've owned it
Oh,
on
for the first
I've
time.
owned I've owned it on Blu-ray forever. It came in a
For,
multi-pack with well, it came in a multi-pack with All the President's Men. That's one of my all-time favorite movies.
right.
And this came with it. And it was one of those ones I was like, I want to get around to watching it because I love 70s conspiracy thrillers. I love
Right.
Redford, all that stuff. But like I said before, when we started doing this, I don't remember what other last film I said this. What it was like, we started doing this. I'm like, I'm guessing this will show up at some point, so I'll wait till we get to this movie to watch it. So yes, I watched it for the first time last week, maybe. I
Oh.
think this is a good spot for this film.
Yeah, right. It's not even close to All the President's Men. Let's
No,
just throw
God,
you,
no.
you know what I mean? Like, I mean, not
Yeah,
that anyone would think that, but you know what I mean. That's
yeah.
why in the 800s, this is because I
Hmm.
love this CIA, love Redford. It's funny when the team gets knocked out. I thought one of the guys when I first saw it was Al Pacino. He kind of looks like Al Pacino. And I'm like, wait,
Yeah,
did Al Pacino just get killed in this film? And he did The
yeah.
Godfather, and but it's not Al
Pulled
Pacino.
an executive decision and the star dies in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, right. Um, for some reason, I remember rewinding and something like that wasn't Al Pacino, was no, it can't be Al Pacino. Um, yeah, no. So this was during my time in college when I was in film school that we had the AMS lab where you could go there and check out films, watch films. A lot of people they had laser discs in there, so my
Oh,
buddies would
nice.
record them on VHS for us, and we,
Hmm.
hey, can you record this? Can you record Rising Sun for me? Can you,
Oh,
like all
Rising
that?
Sun. Yes.
We've talked about that.
Yeah. Did we talk about it? I
Yeah,
forgot we did.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It was on
yes,
the
we
it was
did.
on the film list, man. You got it,
Yes.
Ando. I almost had to check myself
Was that
before I wrecked myself.
was that a Portland one?
Oh God, it might have been. It might have been a Sambuca Portland one.
That's why I probably don't remember.
So no, this is one of those gritty 70s spy. I love you know, I'm on the run. I got who can I
Hmm.
trust? And I mean, it's Robert Redford. granted, it's not Butch Cassidy, it's not The Natural, but it's a solid film. Kind of like, I put up there with Atticus Institute-esque, like it's
Hmm.
just, I mean, it's a bigger budget than that, but that kind of just gritty, kind of, I don't know, really into it, like not underrated movie, but like kind of like a sleeper film. It's hard to have a sleeper film when you got Redford in it and Faye Dunaway,
Yeah.
but I really like this. It did really well. It made like 20 million Ando with rentals.
Hmm.
Um, and also I guess there was a big scandal because I don't know anything about this, but the Family Jewels scandal in 19 December of 74. Um,
I'm not familiar with
I
that.
guess it got a little shit thinking people thought it was based on that real life thing, and so it was released after it,
Okay.
like almost a year later. So there was some controversy there.
Oh, I see.
Um,
That's a report about the CIA doing a bunch of
Hijinks or
activity, yeah, stuff they
dirty
shouldn't have been
tricks.
doing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
surveilling and doing things they not should not have been.
yeah. So
Yeah.
there was a controversy with that. They actually made a TV series of this on the Audience Channel, which they ordered a second season, but then the Audience Channel left. I don't.
That was the DirecTV channel, right? I think we've talked
I
about that
think,
before
yeah, yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. It was. I think,
Yeah, because I think
yeah,
Damages was there for a while and some of that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Friday Night Lights, I want to say
Yeah.
for a season or
Yep.
something. And of course, and you may bring this up. I don't want to step on your research. I did a little more research.
No, that's
Well,
good. Go
let's
for
just
it.
say I looked at Wikipedia more than IMDb. But the Captain America Winter Soldier stuff. Were you gonna mention that? So
I was not going to bring that up, but yes, go ahead.
okay. So Captain America Winter Soldier, the Russo brothers, Redford's in it, and some of the ideas from 3 Days of the Condor or 6 Days, I'm not sure which one. I guess the Russos were big fans and used some of that element in
Yeah,
Soldier.
I think they took it from the movie. I don't think it was so much from
Yeah,
the
okay.
novel.
The movie and kind of having Redford in the movie was kind of like a home
Hmm.
homage, so I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty cool. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the not just that, not that's one of the lasting things of this film is that it's rubbed off on so many other things. Like you can see
yeah,
when I'm watching this, I'm thinking of things like Born Identity and a lot of even though Born Identity is also based on a series of novels, just some of the things that happen in the film and the way they're done are very reminiscent of stuff that has been used in later films. So you can tell this was an influential film, even
right.
if it doesn't. And like, it definitely needs, it's one of those things that probably needs a fresh coat of paint because it's like the score is it's like this weird kind of jazzy. And then it, like, when there's stuff that goes with Faye Dunaway, it turns into this romantic type score and it just doesn't really fit with a thriller. And there's just odd
Yeah,
things
there's
like
some
that in it. So it's still a good film, and I still really like it, but it's not perfect. I mean, well, obviously not perfect. It shouldn't be at this
no,
level.
it's got flaws.
It's
Like,
a it's
yeah.
a it's a good thriller. It's like I remember the first time I remember even hearing about this film is just because and I forgot about it till I was doing some research on it. And I know you love this film too because we're going to talk about it in 30 years from now when we get to it. But the first time I ever heard about it was George Clooney talking about it when he was locked in a trunk and out of sight. And he
Yeah,
talks about
it's
it kind
gonna
of,
take a long
yes.
time to talk about out
So,
of sight.
and like you, I absolutely love that movie. I worship that movie, watched it many, many times. And that was always where I'd first remember hearing about it was just, and George Clooney
That's
talking about
right.
anything makes it sound cool. So
Wow.
I'd
Yeah.
always wanted to watch it for that. So it's, yes, it's a good film. It's like I said, it's a 70s spy thriller. It's not on the level, kind of like we said, Summer School isn't on the level of
Right. It's
Fast
kind of in
Times.
that.
This is that next tier down of because I mean it still got an Academy Award nomination for editing and things like that, but it didn't get writing or Best
Yeah.
Picture or anything like that. But it's a solid cast. It's there is one thing that's a little strange because like Robert Redford kind of basically kidnaps Faye Dunaway and they kind of fall in love in like 3 hours, which is very like she's really horrified that he's there, and then all of a sudden they're in love, and I'm like I don't know if that really
If
works,
hey
but I mean
Ando, if you were
it's
kidnapped by
Robert
Robert
Redford,
Redford,
yeah.
2 hours is the over under. I
Yeah,
think you'd
and
fall in love with.
Redford in his prime. Yeah, I mean, and Faye Dunaway is looking pretty good in this movie as well. So it's not. So yeah, but it's still a good show.
Good film.
And there's a lot of it that takes place in New York. So the World Trade Center is a big part of it. So anytime
Yeah.
you see that, it's always a
It's like it takes you back a little bit. Like,
yeah. So
whoa.
it's
Uh,
a different, yeah, different feeling to it. Just it feels of its time, so it's still a good flick. And like I say, I'm glad I finally watched it. So
oh, good. Good. All right. Are you ready to move on to another universe?
yeah, well, when I said there was a movie on here that practically bankrupted a studio, I think it's time to talk about it.
Let's talk about it, baby. All right. So, coming in at number 820, the heroic warrior, He-Man, not Axel Foley, He-Man, battles against the evil Lord Skeletor and his armies of darkness for control of Castle Grayskull, the film Masters of the Universe.
Released on August 7th, 1987, made 17 million on a $22 million budget. Opened at number 3 at the box office behind Stakeout and The Living Daylights. Summer School was actually still hanging in the top 10 when Masters of
See,
the
I
Universe
told
came
you.
out at number
I don't know
7.
what I told you, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Directed by Gary Goddard, written by David Odell, based on the Masters of the Universe toy line by Mattel, released in 1982, and the television series He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, released in 1983. It's the third toy adaptation to make the film list, behind G.I. Joe and Transformers, starring Dolph Lundgren as He-Man, Frank Langella as Skeletor, Courtney Cox as Julie Winston, Billy Barty as Gwildor, Robert Duncan McNeil as Kevin Corrigan,
No,
John,
Kevin Corrigan as
Kevin Corrigan as Robert Duncan McNeil.
right?
No,
Yeah,
no, no,
Duncan.
no.
Man at Arms is Duncan.
Nope, that's the next guy. No, Robert Duncan McNeil is the actor. He was also in Star Trek Voyager.
Oh, Kevin Corrigan is actually that's an actor too.
Yep, it is.
So it's a character. Oh,
It's a
okay.
character in this, yes.
My apologies.
John Kreisfer as Duncan, aka Man
Cypher,
at
yeah.
Arms, or Cypher as, oh yeah, Cypher. Yep, I read it wrong. Meg Foster as Evelyn, and two
Evil.
other ones that I didn't pick up the first time. I don't know if I have it on the other version notes. Richard Sponser as Pig Boy, and I list him because he won a Mattel giveaway to have a role in this part.
Oh, really?
So he is not an actor. They cast him because he won a contest from Mattel.
Oh,
And
that's
James
great.
Tolkien, who famously from the principal in Back to the Future and Top
Mhm.
Gun, as Detective Lubick. Masters of the Universe solo.
A lot of sparkling explosions, and it has that 80s bad
Okay,
stunts like sword fights.
this is I over the last probably 3 weeks, this has been on Pluto TV, and I have watched it on my iPad while I'm doing dishes over the last like 3 weeks. And the first film I think of is something we talked about many, many pods ago, Flash Gordon. This feels
Right.
so much like Flash Gordon, where they're really trying to be Star Wars and they're really not making it happen.
Yeah, not happening. So I had all the He-Man toys. I had Castle Grayskull,
Mhm.
everything. Loved the series, big into He-Man. When this came out, I was again on the oh, I was looking at the wrong film. On the cutting, I was about to become a teenager, so I was still He-Man-ish, but I was looking at Tila and Courtney Cox more in this film when I was coming of
Yep.
age.
Yep.
Um, I saw this in the theater, loved it.
Oh, you saw this in the theater.
Yeah, saw it in the
Nice.
theater, and then we were vacationing at Disney World in Florida, and it was either on HBO or it was. I remember my parents went out to dinner or something. And I was watching He-Man in the hotel room when I was like 12 or 13 or whatever. When we were in Florida, and then I probably recently saw it not too long ago, a couple years. I have the Blu-ray, and again, yeah, it's not the greatest movie in the world, but it's a childhood thing for me. I loved this as a kid. I still enjoyed it.
It's
It's cheesy.
it's
So
fun, ridiculous fun. It is
it's like
very
Bad
fun.
Brie, but it's
Yeah.
cheesy. But it's fun, and it's actually much better than I remember it. Not saying I think it's unbelievable, but it has something close to my heart, like G.I. Joe and Transformers
Hmm.
did. Now I think Transformers and even maybe even G.I. Joe is a better movie than this, but I have more of a connection because of the years
Yeah.
having
Oh,
this
for
seen it
sure.
as a kid. So
And
yeah,
this one, I remember because I was also, I mean, I had quite a few He-Man. I was more into Transformers and G.I. Joe stuff, but still had quite a few He-Man as well. And I remember seeing this, and the first time I watched it, I was at the same friend's house that I was saying where we watch movies all the time, and we were playing He-Man, and it was on HBO or something. And we loved the first half an hour, and then after that, they basically, because they didn't have enough money to stay in Eternia the entire time, they go to
Yeah.
Los Angeles, and it's kind of like almost like a Terminator type of kind of a Terminator
It
vibe,
feel
really,
it feels like a Terminator
with
ripoff. Yeah.
Courtney Cox and the Linda Hamilton role and He-Man as Terminator. So, but it was like, why isn't this in our Eternia? Why is this in this L? And when we were kids, we wanted to see more of the fighting in Eternia and all this. So
Yeah.
it took me a long time to go back to it and watch it again. But it's like I said, it's fun. It's corny.
Very corny.
I mean, it's very 80s, very much because like there was a lot of, like I said, that's why I compared it to Flash Gordon. There was a lot of these in the 80s where they were trying to be Star Wars and they either didn't have the budget or they didn't have the skill of George Lucas and his team to quite
Right.
make it to that level. But it's like the cast really isn't. I mean, Dolph Lundgren, it's not his best performance ever by any means. Like even
Punisher is his, but no,
it's, well, like I had read something on this that they had planned on redubbing his voice, but the production ran out of money. So but like Frank Langella, Courtney Cox, some of the supporting actors are still pretty decent in this, and it's
yeah.
not it's not embarrassing. It's not, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's camp. It's very
Yeah.
campy.
I mean, I don't like what was it, the one character with the squeaky voice? Like,
The small guy, Gwildor,
yeah, I mean, Gwildor's a little,
and
Gwildorish.
the whole and that character was created for the movie because if you remember the cartoon show, they had the little guy that was floating around with the wizard guy that's floating
Yeah.
around, and they couldn't afford to do the special effects for that, so they changed that character to this character. And yeah, I think that guy won or nominated for a Razzie. Yeah,
Yeah, that
nominated for
makes
a
sense.
Razzie. So
Yeah, yeah. Worst actor.
it's but like when I was saying about the bankrupting the studio, they thought this was going to be a huge hit for them, and
Yeah.
this what they actually had already spent a bunch of money up for He-Man 2. Dolph turned them down. They had the surfer Laird Hamilton lined up to play
Oh.
He-Man. It was mostly cast and already most of the sets were built. They'd already spent like 4.5 million on it, and it actually ended up they morphed it into a film we've already talked about, which ended up being the last film for Golden Globus, Cyborg.
Ah,
Most of the sets for Cyborg were actually made for He-Man or Masters of the Universe
did
Part
not
2.
know that.
Yes. And they had another movie that we actually just talked about briefly that I mentioned earlier. They had the rights to Spider-Man and they were going to make that, and they decided, no, 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 let's split it into our two other properties that we have, and then we'll have more money because we'll make money on those to make Spider-Man like we should.
Uh,
The other one was Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, which is also not very
ugh,
good. That's
no.
rough, rough, rough. So yeah, it basically bankrupted Golden Globus, but they did Cobra and Bloodsport and all those 80s
Yeah,
cheesy fun films that they did. So
that was their thing.
yeah. So yeah, I don't it's and did you know there's a
This might
post
be the most down you've been on the film list
I know.
of
Well,
films.
it's did you know there's a post-credit scene on this?
I don't remember.
It's Skeletor rising up out of the goo saying Masters of the Universe will return.
Oh, yes, yes. And guess what? It didn't.
And it is returning. They're
Wait,
filming a new adaptation right now.
really?
Amazon and MGM, $200 million budget, directed by Travis Knight. He made Bumblebee, the last Transformers Bumblebee. That was actually a
Okay.
pretty solid.
Actually, I heard I never saw it, but I
And
heard that's like the best one.
the director of photography on it is a guy named Fabian Wagner, who has done episodes titled Hard Home and Battle of the Bastards.
Jeez. I know those. Wow. It's
Yeah,
impressive.
and it's some of the cast. The guy playing He-Man, I don't really know, but Jared Leto as Skeletor, Alison Brie as Evil-Lyn, Idris Ilba as Duncan, Man at Arms,
Really?
Morena Baccarin as Sorceress.
Oh, wow.
It is scheduled to be released June 5th, 2026. Filming is happening right now.
I like that. I like
So
that
yeah,
cast. Idris
that was
Elba is Man at Arms.
that was
It's gonna
that
be
was
the
kind of
coolest
what
Man at Arms ever
I,
because he's like
and
kind of an older guy, kind of
with with
Tila's
the
dad.
with the talent they have around it, it could, I don't know, maybe it'll be good.
Maybe we'll
and that
talk
much
about
money.
that later on the film list. Maybe it'll be so
Yes.
good it'll
Well,
leapfrog this one.
it'll have to bump Casablanca.
Maybe not, but maybe.
Yeah. Yes.
If Paul Rudd was He-Man, it would probably. Will
Let's do it.
Ferrell as Skeletor. Anyway, yeah. All right.
I think, yeah.
Should we stop it there because it could get really bad?
Yeah. Yeah. We can go. You know what? I always
Ed
got time
Helms
for.
as Duncan.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Yeah, the Ed Helms. That would be Ed Helms or yeah. Let's go with Ed Helms. That would work.
Rainn Wilson could be Skeletor. All right.
Actually,
Anyway,
Rainn Wilson could play Skeletor. That
yeah.
would, and you
Or
know what?
Ron's Nick Offerman as
Oh,
Man at Arms.
that is the one. And I should say, Frank Langella actually is pretty good. You can tell he's having
Yeah,
fun as Skeletor, and
yeah.
like he has said in interviews, he did this for his kids because his kids were
Oh,
huge
that's
fans
cool.
of the thing. And I think I saw some interview with him that he said that originally when they came to him with his costume, he said, "Nope, this won't work because it's not close enough to the toy." So I thought that was kind of cool. I'm like,
I
all right,
like it.
Frank Langella, that's
Yeah,
cool.
Frank Langella.
Yeah, and I'm always a fan of guys doing stuff if they want their kids to be able to watch something. I think that's always a fun thing, anyways. I mean, if I had the power
Sure.
to do that, I would too.
I mean,
So,
yeah, because most of his movies, I'm sure his kids couldn't watch at that time.
yeah,
So,
and most of them since then either. I can't think of a whole lot of other kids films that he's in.
uh, all right.
So yeah.
So, all right. Coming in at 819, saw it in the theater. Really like this film. In the old film lists, it was higher when I was only doing 500. It was up in there, but
Oh,
since
so
the
it's
expansion, it's dropped. But
dropped a little bit.
when you get 500 more slots, things change. When you do the research and think about it. Anyway, the story of a former ballerina turned Russian intelligence officer who is sent to make contact with a CIA officer in the hope of discovering the identity of a mole. The film, Red Sparrow.
Released on March 2nd, 2018, made 47 million on a $69 million budget. Opened
151 worldwide, Ando.
worldwide, yes. That's well, and most of
Oh,
the
I just want to
films,
throw a word.
yeah, well, and most of the films we've talked about make money after you throw in that,
Rentals and
yeah,
sales
and
and
all that other stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. The opened at number two at the box office behind the third weekend of Black Panther, directed by Francis Lawrence. It's the fourth time that and the star Jennifer Lawrence have worked together.
No
See, written by
relation.
yeah, no relation. Written by Justin Haith, based on the book by Jason Matthews, who he was a retired CIA operative for 33 years.
Oh,
Starring Jennifer Lawrence as Dominika Egorova, Joel Edgerton as Nate Nash, Matthias Schoenaerts as Vanya Igorov. Is it Syrian or Kyrian? I never.
Syrian Heinz.
Syrian Hines as Zakharov, Charlotte Rampling as Mastron, Mary Louise Parker as Stephanie Boucher, Jolie Richardson as Nina Agrova, Bill Camp as Marty Gable, and Jeremy Irons as General Korchnoi.
And
The
Bill
Red.
Camp is in another film on this list.
Yes, I just realized that while I was saying that. I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're seeing him somewhere else on here too.
Yes. Yeah, so I was shocked at some of the scenes in this film. First, Jennifer Lawrence nude scenes and such.
And
And
not
what's
just a little bit nude.
yeah, no, it's the 9 yards.
There's nothing left to the imagination.
And actually she had the I think it was the director and the editor or producer or whatever had her in um and showed her a cut of the film, and she was able to say if they wanted some of the nude scenes cut and stuff, and she let them all in.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which is
good for you, because thank you. um this movie has it's remember that show The Americans, kind of got that feel.
yes.
Jennifer Lawrence is fantastic in this film. I love me some Joel Edgerton, great cast. It's got that, cold Moscow-ish feel, and I just even though it's weird, I enjoy films set in Russia or Moscow in the cold and just during this time.
Well, I
I don't
think
know what it is.
I think a major influence on this one too, and they even reference it at the beginning because it's at the park that they're at is Gorky Park.
Right, right.
And,
Very, yes.
where Joel Edgerton at the very beginning when he shoots the gun and tries to save his contact, it's in Gorky Park is where they're at, which is another film we've talked about. See, I had a lot of feelings of that. This film actually, I had this is one of those ones where I bought the Blu-ray on Black Friday deal for like $5, like 4 or 5 years ago, and it sat on my shelf. And I had only heard people that had said they didn't really like it, so it was never a priority for me to watch it. So another film, a lot of them on this list I have not seen. I've seen recently because it was
Hmm.
another one where I'm like, I've never watched this, and it was mainly because most people I had known that had seen it were like, it's not that great, whatever. And I put it on, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I thought this was a really solid. Like, it doesn't have a very good rating. Like
I
Metacritic and
know.
Rotten
I
Tomatoes
don't.
don't, and I don't
Is it
get it.
a? Is it fans didn't want to see Jennifer Lawrence in this type? I don't understand it because the twist is awesome. She's. I mean,
Yeah,
Joel Egerton. I mean, he's Joel Egerton. I mean, I love watching that dude. I mean, it's a really good film. Like, I don't know. Again, not top tier. It's,
but
but
it's
it's
still, it's
much better than people. I enjoyed it. I
yeah,
saw it in the theater, and I was all in. I was impressed, and I really
yeah.
liked this film.
I mean, I, I'm still shocked because I mean, that was probably 5, 6 days ago when I watched it. Now I'm still just shocked that it was. The more I've read about it now, oh, it wasn't well received, and it wasn't. I'm like, I don't. To me, it's a very solid. And I mean, granted, we hadn't seen a lot of movies like this recently. Since then,
Right,
I mean,
right.
Americans was like this, and this is basically for anyone who hasn't seen this. It's basically a more realistic version of Black Widow's storyline in the Avengers.
Right,
I mean, because
right.
it's same kind of thing where
I thought
gets
you meant Black Widows, the movie with
oh the
oh,
no 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 no
I'm like,
no
wait, what? Okay,
yeah
yes,
the
Black
Scarlett
Widows.
Johansson Black Widow, yeah,
Black Widows. Yeah.
but definitely more of a like a serious realistic look at that kind of a thing. And I don't know, I came away very impressed with this film. I wasn't maybe it was just I wasn't expecting much, but the acting was all good, the cast was good. It wasn't super predictable. Like say it's a good twist.
Yeah, it's
The
a good
lead
twist.
it's
Yeah.
I'm just not sure. I thought, like I said, I was really I, I was pleasantly surprised by this one.
Yeah, no, and this whole Sparrow school thing, I mean, it just was like I didn't realize this film was gonna go as far as it did.
Hmm.
I was expecting more of a spy, kind of like Three
Yeah.
Days of the Condor based on 21 Days of the Condor. Um, but I didn't realize it was going to be this intense. I
Yeah,
was
because
expecting more of like Alias type of movie. And so when I realized how dark it was and how in depth it goes into the training and what it
yeah,
it
because that's probably the first
it
half is
wiped.
probably that way. Is I don't want to say the first half is her training at the school and stuff is and like
Yeah,
the ballerina stuff and then the training and because that stuff is dark. I mean, some of the stuff that they make the trainees do is like holy that
I know, in front of
definitely
everyone.
yeah, it's definitely dark. But I thought yeah, I was really impressed with this. I think this is one of those ones. If it doesn't get forgotten, I could see this one being reappraised in 10 or 15 years and people saying,
Yeah,
you know what was really solid for Jennifer Lawrence movie that's underrated. Or we start seeing the things 20 years from now, five forgotten roles of Jennifer Lawrence that you should see. This is going to be on one of those ones on that list.
yeah. And if you haven't seen it, watch the film. It's
Hmm.
it's a good watch. It's intense.
Yeah.
But if you liked the Americans, Alias, stuff like that, it's darker,
Yes.
but I mean, Americans is still dark at times, but
Yeah. I would say it's kind of on par with American. I mean, it's more
yeah,
compacted because it's a 2 hour film instead of a
right. But
40-hour
it
TV
has
show. But
that
yeah,
elements and
that I was
feel. And
expecting Margot Martindale to show up at any time.
yeah, I know, I know. And if she did, it would have been even a better film.
Oh,
But
yeah. And
uh,
I couldn't find much else about. I thought it was interesting. Originally, it was supposed to be Rooney Mara and David Fincher. Fincher dropped out, and then when Jennifer Lawrence came on, she wanted Francis Lawrence because he directed 3 out of the 4 original Hunger Games films, so
okay.
that's kind of one of her guys. So yeah, I thought it was like I said, a solid flick. I'm glad I watched that. That I
Glad you
didn't.
did too, Lando.
Yeah, and we're another whiplash. Well, let's go to. Is this next film even darker?
Yes, I think it is. Right?
Yeah.
By the title, you would not think so. But then when
No.
you watch this film, you're like, well, yes. So
Yeah.
between Prisoners, Red Sparrow, we
As I
lit it
say,
up with the Masters
I
of the
think
Universe.
that's part of why I'm maybe just a little bit more down tonight, just because like we're talking about some
We're
heavy.
yeah, we're
There's
talking
some
about some
heavy
heavy
films on
films
this
here.
list.
And
Ted.
summer school doesn't have the panache to lift you up throughout the whole
Yes,
podcast. It was a
exactly.
quick, oh yeah, that was funny.
Well, and
Okay,
well,
now I'm
summer
depressed.
schools, it's not like super bad where I can list off, or 40-year-old virgin where I can list off like 20 hilarious comments because I have
Yeah,
them all committed to memory. But
yeah.
yeah, let's go back into the underworld and the darkness here.
Okay. This is a film that blew me away. I didn't see it in the theater. I first watched it at home. So I didn't make it to the theater. It was
Same.
kind
Yep.
of during around there was a few years, I mean, like a year and a half before pandemic and and then a little after, and now I've been starting to go to the movie theater more.
Yep.
But this was so it was just one, oh, I want to see it, and then I just never did. But then everything's coming so fast to
Yep.
streaming. I mean, you can even now in like a month and a half or whatever pay a premium, but rent a
Hmm.
movie if you really want to see it. Okay, so the story of failed stand-up comedian Arthur Fleck and his descent into madness. The film Joker.
Released on October 4th, 2019, made 335 million in the US on a $55 million budget. Opened at number one with $96 million in the first week. At the time, it was the worldwide top grossing R-rated film of all time. Made $1 billion at the box office until it was passed last year by Deadpool and Wolverine. But it's still the number two or number three highest rated R-rated film of all time. Cost at its price, it was the least expensive film to ever make $1 billion worldwide. Directed by Todd Phillips, who Road Trip, Old School, Hangover. Yeah, we all saw this one coming. Uh,
Yeah,
First
right?
director, he was the first director to ever be nominated for Best Director for directing a comic book film. It's written by Scott Silver and Todd Phillips. Scott Silver also wrote The Fighter and 8 Mile. It's based on the characters created by Bob Kane, Bill Finger, and Jerry Robinson. The fourth DC Comics film to make the film list. The other three are quite different in tone: Batman Forever, The Flash, and Aquaman. Starring Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck, Robert De Niro as Murray Franklin, Zazie Beetz as Sophie Dumond, Frances Conroy as Penny Fleck, Brett Cullen as Thomas Wayne, Dante Pereira Olson as Bruce Wayne, Douglas Hodge as Alfred Pennyworth, Shea Wiggum, forgot he was in this, as Detective
There we
Burke,
go,
Bill
yeah.
Camp as
Bill Camp,
Detective.
there he is.
Yes, there he is again. Two films in a row as
It's the
Detective
camp list.
Garrity.
You got a list, send it
Yes,
to me. Camplist@gmail.com. Sorry.
that's this film podcast. This one alone is that.
Yeah.
Lee Gill as Gary and Mark Maron as Gene Ufland. So Joker. I also didn't see this in the theater. I saw it when it came to Max, maybe HBO Max, I
Yeah,
think.
that's when I saw it, Mac. It was on when it came to Max.
And it
Yep.
was it was when they were just because October 4th, so it was only like 6 months, 5 or 6 months before COVID. So that's when they basically, as soon as COVID hit, everything came to
Everything
streaming like
came on
right
script.
away.
Yeah.
And I hadn't watched it since that first. I have the Blu-ray, but I hadn't watched it since that first watching because all I remembered was, man, I remember it being dark, and I was like, I don't really remember if I really liked it that much. So just like Prisoners, I looked at my letterbox for rating from back then, and I had it at like 4.5 stars or 4 stars. I'm like, shit,
That's a good rating.
I must have really liked. I don't remember liking it that much, and so I watched it. I also watched the sequel. We can talk about that at the end of this, but I watched this movie again, and it really is a hell of a movie. I can't say that I love it, but I think it's really good, and I really respect this film and what it's trying to do and how different it is from any other superhero film I can ever remember. I'm sure there's been other. I mean, you could maybe say Watchmen tried to do some of this, but it's not dark like this thing is. This is,
No,
I
this
mean,
is
you can tell that Todd Phillips was trying to pay homage to, or some people will say rip off, Taxi Driver and King of Comedy and things like that, because there's obvious influences there, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I mean,
well,
if
De
you're
Niro's
gonna,
in the movie.
yeah. So he obviously, and he even said,
There's nothing
yes,
wrong.
yeah,
We're in 20, well, at this time, mid to late 2000 teens, whatever you call it. But like we're at a point now where it's very rare for a film that you're not gonna think of other films watching it.
yep,
I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, there's been so many films made. How can you not be influenced? You
Hmm.
become a filmmaker because you love movies. And I know tons of directors who will watch a certain what tone they're looking for. They'll watch a bunch of Michael Mann movies before they shoot something or something like
Hmm.
that. It's all about the influence. So the fact that, yeah, it feels like Taxi Driver a lot
Yeah.
makes it, but it's executed in such a way. But like you said, again, with the film list, if you're listening for the first time and then you're not going to listen anymore, that's fine. But I leave you with this, and I almost forgot what I was going to say. Um, and I did forget what I was going to say because I had to be too cute, Ando. I had to.
You set yourself up and then you forgot the payoff.
What the hell was I going to say?
Something about
Joker.
how, yeah, how it was influenced by Taxi Driver or King of
Right.
Comedy or.
I still don't know what I was going to say.
Well, the
It'll come
the
back to me.
part of what I really got this time from it is this might it might be more relevant now than it even was then because it's depicting a city like where everybody's ready to tear each other apart and
Yeah.
things are so partisan and it's so much the people that have money versus the people that don't have money and there's no money for health care so he can't get the treatment he needs and how poorly criminals or insane people are treated or all of this stuff and I'm like it really is and it's a film that it very strangely I can't think of any film like this because I've got a lot of friends that are both I'm not going to get political here and just talk about it for a second but I've got friends who are very liberal and friends that are very conservative and I've talked to all of them about not all of them but a lot of them about this I have some of the most liberal people I know absolutely hate this film and some of the most liberal people I know absolutely love this film same thing with the conservatives, where some of the conservatives think this is just garbage and other ones think it's the best thing ever. I can't think of a film that's so, I don't know, just I can't think of a film like that. It's just an impressive piece of filmmaking. I don't know if that even makes sense,
It
but
almost has, it feels like it has pieces of Mr. Robot too, a little bit.
oh,
I kind
for
of feel,
sure it
you
does.
know?
Yes.
No, what I was going to say was with the film list, that's why, I got it all cute there, but where a great film necessarily isn't my favorite.
Hmm.
So Joker, I think this is a high class film, but it's in the 800s because there's other films that I enjoy more. I mean, it's not one you can just watch all the time. It's
No.
it's not a superhero, I mean, super villain movie you can watch. It's a tough watch. It's a tough watch in the theme of it, but such a damn good movie. Like I was almost ashamed I liked it too much because it
It's
is dark and what happens on the
oh,
show. Like I was
yes.
like, what the? And then I don't know it. Certain times I'm like, I mean, there is a twist, but like, what's real, what's not real? Is the ending real or not?
Yeah. And it's well, and part of it is the just the filmmaking. Besides the acting, no matter what you think about the story, like it looks like they filmed this in 1981 New York. It looks like
Was
the production design is freaking crazy how it
yeah,
looks like it looks like real life and it really isn't a superhero or a super villain movie. It just happens to be this guy who is kind of like the Joker, but it's not really it feels like a
yeah.
small independent film. It does not feel like that at all,
It
like a
it, it
superhero thing.
it's I mean, for the most part, it's a different take on the Joker because Batman's not. I mean, well, he does go to Mister Wayne, the Wainwright
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, you see the Waynes and you see Alfred a little bit. They're briefly and you see him at the end again too, walking out of the theater and so but it's really not really tied to
It's
Batman,
a
really. Yeah.
standalone, and that's what's trivial to me. Where you know DC, they can do these offshoot, the Chris Nolan Batmans, the Matt Reeves Batman, the Joker. It's probably the best DC movies there are, not counting. I mean, I'm a big Superman the movie and Superman 2 fan, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
Recent time, and a lot of the other ones. I enjoyed Aquaman. I like Wonder Woman, but I wasn't a huge Justice League or
Yeah.
the fan.
Yeah.
Martha versus Martha.
Yeah.
Um,
Dawn of
but I,
Justice.
but it's
Yes.
it's amazing though how I mean, what do you think about that, Ando? Because they can get the right. people in place. Well, I guess you could say when you want to do the mainstream, what Marvel did, what DC tried to do, dark movies aren't gonna, you can't do a dark universe because I don't think that would be the right move. So that's why the standalones or maybe some trilogies away from that universe is his own thing. That's why they're so good. I mean, I would love a dark, I would love it, but it's probably, I don't doubt it's going to make a ton of money
Well,
in that
and I
aspect.
think I think part of it too is that it really especially the further we get away from it, it highlights what Marvel did, especially up to Endgame, is so crazy that they were able to pull all that stuff. I mean, to get all those moving pieces and cog into something cohesive and turn into some really great, especially by the end of that sequence, those last three or four movies were just
Right.
fantastic. I think it highlights more as that as anything because how could you even like and that really it should be made the way that they're kind of doing this here, I think, because it's so much it should be focusing on that movie, not 10 movies down the road when you're
Yeah.
making it. So I don't it's, I don't
I mean, the
and I
only
think
way, and they wouldn't do it because I'm sure with Joaquin Phoenix, I mean, you won the best actor award for this,
yes.
which is pretty impressive. I mean, he deserved it, and
Yeah. Yeah.
wow, blew me away.
Amazing.
I
Amazing.
mean, I think it would be hard. Like, say for right now, okay, we got the Batman, Matt Reeves Batman with Robin Pattinson. You got the two
Mhm.
Joker movies now. I haven't seen the sequel yet. I don't know if you're going to tell me to or not to
Eh,
be. That is the question.
yeah.
But Lady Gaga's in it. I like Lady Gaga and I like her singing. There's always a Joker on the anyway. Um, the Joker is me. Anyway, um, if I mean you do these movies and you wonder would Robert Pattinson and Joaquin Phoenix go and be in the, you know, Justice League Endgame? Probably not. Would you, I guess they're going to do their own world in that way. Like, so someone else is going to play. I mean, I guess is Superman now the with Superman coming out this summer, or when you're listening to this on the audio, it already came out.
It's been
But
on Max for 6 months at this point.
extra several would so is Superman starting the new DC thing,
Well,
or do you know?
technically that they did an animated series that's technically the first part.
Oh,
That came out Creature Commandos. It came out a couple months ago on Max.
oh, I
It's
didn't know.
animated and it has a few and actually for like 3 seconds Batman appears in it and animated. And supposedly that is canon with Superman and some characters from that are going to be in Superman. And
Okay,
then the second season of Peacemaker that also comes out this summer is also part of that. So they're that's like the first three, I think. They've been kind of cagey as to what's actually
they may
gonna
not
happen
know.
there.
But
Yeah,
yeah, no,
well,
now
and
is
that
James
could be.
Gunn, is he like ahead of it? It's no
Yeah.
more Snyderverse and
Yep, because Gunn was in charge of that Creature Commandos, that animated series that was on Max
okay.
this winter, and
Was it
he's
any was it good? Did you see it?
yeah, I watched it. It was okay. I
Yeah.
didn't dislike it, but it's not like something and like when you see Batman, you just see him for 2 seconds staring at somebody, so you don't even really it's
Yeah.
not you don't hear any voice or anything, you just see like his silhouette. But the but like and with Peacemaker, I think he directed all of season two as well
Oh
of
wow.
Peacemaker because
So
he
he's
did all of
really
season one, he directed most of that as well, I think. So he's definitely like the I think the Kevin Feige, but also doing some directing with it. I don't exactly get it, but I don't know like, would you want this Joaquin Phoenix character in?
Oh
I don't
no,
think I would
no,
want him.
no, no, no. If again, if we were going dark universe for like
Yeah,
seven movies, which
yeah,
they won't do, but if it was
no.
gonna be, if they just ponied up the money, I mean, would it be successful, Joaquin as the Joker with what we know of him now? I don't know. I mean, if he's chewing the fat for like four scenes in in one of the movies, could it work if we see him involved as the Joker? Um,
I think you maybe could pull it off. I don't think you could pull it off in like a Justice League type of thing, but I think you could do it with if it was just one-on-one versus Batman.
yeah,
I think you could do it. And it
yeah,
would have to be even more, I don't know if hard boiled is the right word than the Pattinson one was, where that was definitely more scaled down. But yeah, I think you'd have to scale that down even more. Like no
yeah.
Batmobile, no gadgets, none of the contacts that can see different than none of the tech things. Because I mean
Mm.
this Joker takes place in 1981.
Oh, that's
And
right. That's
so it's
forgot
I
about
mean
that.
and So you basically have to age him up 30 years or something.
Oh
And
yeah, no, this is definitely it wouldn't work. Yeah.
I
I
don't think
forget
it.
that it's 81.
And well, and we do see Bruce Wayne in this, and he's like 8 years old in
Right.
Joker. So, and I mean, with how the sequel goes, I think Joaquin is done with this. I don't think they're coming. I mean, that the sequel
Yeah.
kind of bombed anyways too. So
Yeah, no, and that's fine.
yeah.
I'm glad we got this movie.
Hmm.
And for I as a standalone, it's great. I just want DC to succeed,
Yeah.
and they don't have to become what Marvel did. I mean, I don't think no one's ever going to be able to top it.
Uh-uh.
Um, but if you got Superman now, just throw something in the end credits that
Yep.
gets us excited, and then build off that. That's what
Well,
Iron
just
Man did,
yeah, I was gonna say, dude, just like Sam Jackson showing up at the end of Iron Man, where you can basically can do whatever you want and just be like, I'm forming a new team, and then that you cut to black, and then if you want to pick it up 5 years later, you can. If you don't,
Yeah, because then they did the Hulk. Now that came out after and takes place. Does the Hulk take place after Iron Man?
just barely because they both
It's
came out the
around the
same
same time
summer.
though.
And
Okay.
yeah, because you see in the post credits, you see Tony Stark show up in that one.
Okay, yeah. That's what connected it and everything.
Yep.
So let's do that. Superman shows up in the next, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Or you see Bruce Wayne pop up in a cameo at the very end, the post credits thing or something. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, something simple just to what you don't have to rush into Justice League. Build it
Yep.
up. We're gonna
Yep.
go if these movies are good, we're gonna go see them.
Yeah.
And they're gonna
That's
have a good following. So take your time with it and do it. Now, granted, I'm sure there's pressure money wise and the economy and a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that unfortunately hurts filmmaking. Us fans can say, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? But there's way more that goes into it than just
the key.
doing it.
You just said the key. You just said the key word. Make it good.
Yeah.
They made this good, and they made it on a for a superhero film, a very low budget,
Yeah.
and people showed up, and people. And Grace said it's not. This is a very different superhero movie than we've ever seen before, but they tried something different and it worked, and it's
Yeah. Like you said, like
yeah,
I said, and then you reiterated because I forgot I said it, but make it good. People will come and want to see more.
yeah,
Don't
hmm
rush it. Don't
yeah,
force it.
yeah.
Um,
That's a good point. Don't force it. Don't try
don't
and put
force it
20 different
because
things into it. Yeah,
no matter if you make a film today or 5 years, 20 years from now, there's gonna be I mean, are we ready for another Superman movie? I'm not super excited. I will definitely see it and probably be excited while I'm watching it, but I'm not like I just got a little bit because Henry Cavill, I really did like. He was little. He didn't have the charisma of like a Chris Reeve. It was a little darker, but I was okay with that because he looked the part and I like him. So, but it
well,
wasn't
and
necessarily his fault.
gr-
Let's just put it that way.
well, and I think some of that was some of it, the writing they gave him and the directing they gave him, because he can be charismatic in other things. I
I
really
know,
like
man
Henry
from
Cavill.
Uncle, man.
Yeah, that's
But
exactly right. And so
yeah,
it's I am still looking forward to this because I love James Gunn's superhero stuff. I don't love everything James Gunn has done, but I love his Guardians movies.
yeah,
I'm psyched for this. I like this cat. I don't really know the actor that they have playing Superman. I don't really know him from much, but I know the rest of the cast, and it's fantastic cast.
yeah.
So
It's weird.
I'm
The Sorry to cut you off.
oh, go ahead.
The new Superman, when he's walking, getting stuff thrown at him, his face looks weird. But when he's Clark Kent and in there, I'm like, oh, he looks like super. Like it's weird. It's a different look. But I was wrong about Heath Ledger as Joker. I was wrong about Daniel Craig as Bond. So I'm not
Well,
gonna, you know,
my thing is that a movie I'm sure we'll talk about a long time from now. The original Superman, the movie, I think is still one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. And
it's
Christopher Reeve,
probably it's probably my favorite.
and I don't know if it's my favorite or not, but it's in
It's
contention for
it's in
sure.
contention with Dark Knight for me.
And because I had just watched it again recently because I've shown Luke it a couple times, and 7 8 year and like as much as that film 45 years old and a 7 year old is still just glued to it. And I was glued to it too.
Oh, that's
But
so good.
the thing I like about it, and it gives me hope for this one, is that movie had heart. and he had heart. And that's one thing that James Gunn always does. His movies always have heart. Even the films I don't
Yeah.
like of his, they have heart. And that's what I think that was what was missing from some of the Justice League
Henry.
and some of those is that
Yeah.
his
I mean,
Superman
when
just didn't.
Superman, when
Yeah.
Man of Steel cracked someone's neck, that just shocked me. I,
Hmm.
I mean, I didn't read all the comics or whatever, but I know Superman usually doesn't kill people.
Yeah.
But
So it's yeah. So I am very much looking forward to the new one. And like I say, I've seen every. I think I've seen every Superman in a theater since I was old enough to. So probably Superman 3, I think, was the first one I saw in theater. So I've seen everyone in
me
theater
too.
since then.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, I'm greatly looking forward to it. So
Yeah, no, and I hope it's like great and people are like, dude, you got to see it. And I'm like, all right,
yeah.
that's all I need. I'm afraid because I've been down this road before.
Yes.
Um, and I wanted to love Man of Steel, and I liked like 75% of that movie a lot.
Until the last 45 minutes, I thought, holy shit, this is
It
one of
turned
the
into
best movies. Yep.
Transformers.
I
Yeah.
love the first two-thirds of it. I thought it was brilliant. And then that last, when it's 45 minutes of just felt like a Michael Bay thing, I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
I mean, nothing against Michael Bay, but for Superman, we didn't want
yes,
Transformers. Yeah.
that's exactly
Um,
right.
and I mean, and I actually loved Costner and the flat
Oh,
Diane Lane. Like,
yeah. Amy Adams, that has a good cast.
Amy Adams
Really
was
good
great.
cast.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's tough. Lois Lane's tough for me because, of course, I loved Margot Kidder.
Hmm.
Then poor thing went crazy, and they ended up in
Yeah.
Superman 3 pushing her out
Hmm.
and bringing it, going Lana Lang. Um, and then Kate Bosworth. I don't remember Superman Returns. I remember digging it, but and thought it was a cool idea about building and creating land and that whole concept. But I
Yeah.
can't remember if I'd be interested to go back to it, see if I
Well, the
think it's
the
any
thing
good
I the thing I didn't really like about that is they basically tried to make it a continuation and say these are the same characters from Superman 2.
too. Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't Kevin Spacey as Gene Hackman and what's
Gene
his name?
Hackman ruined Lex Luthor for everybody because he was so damn good that everyone
Yeah.
after that followed. I mean, big fan. I like Jesse Eisenberg, or I think that's his name. But
Yep.
as Lex Luthor, to me, he was a Google exec who was I couldn't stand him as Lex
The,
Luthor.
I did
The
kind
red
of enjoy,
capes are coming. The red capes are coming.
well, I kind of enjoyed it just because it was so different than what Gene Hackman was doing. But
I
let's
from
say
Gene
on the level
Hackman.
of yeah, Gene is
I know what you mean. I'm
yeah.
okay with a different take. It wasn't for me.
So to say it didn't quite work,
I mean,
but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, because again, as an actor myself, I never bash an actor or whatever. I mean, we could say if it didn't work for us or whatever.
yeah,
I'm not saying he probably worked his ass off at coming up, but it just didn't work for me. And
yep.
there were times where it's like that first X-Files movie, the one that
Hmm.
wasn't really about an X-File. Like,
Fight the Future.
no, I'm sorry, the second
Oh
X-Files
yeah,
movie.
I Want to Believe, I think was the second one, right?
That one I wanted to love, and I watched it like 3 times. And I'm like, this isn't my X-Files. It
Yeah,
just doesn't
yeah, it was
work.
just
And
yep.
I'm gonna go back now, like 15 years later, and see. But like, there's just sometimes it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just face it. And we spent a lot of time talking about DC, like not only on this, but it's a theme.
You
But
know what
even
though?
in other
Like,
pods and stuff.
well, in DC though, like you said, this is the films of your life, and in a lot of cases, the films of my life as well, just in a different order that I would have them in.
You're right, right.
DC films are a big part of both of our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, just like we talked the Superman films, the Tim Burton Batman films were a big part of both of our lives. The Nolan stuff. So I mean, it's not like even I know the Adam West series. I know both of us really love.
Oh
So I mean,
God, that was my
we've
favorite
got
show for like
it.
a decade.
It's even though this is the film list, it's DC is a huge part of that. It's like
Yeah,
Star Wars
no,
films. It's a big part of both of
yeah.
our lives. So I think it's great talking about it too. So
No, no,
it's
no, yeah, no, it's fun because I don't really talk about it much
yeah,
because
I don't either.
I'm not a bartender anymore, so I can't talk to Glenn about all this stuff every day.
Yes. Damn it, Glenn.
I know Glenn, son of a bitch. You have to get a job and no,
Oh,
anyway, but no, it's because yeah, so this is my outlet because I forgot all those years I bartended between sports, films, and life. I was at the center of talking with so many people all the time about stuff. I
Yep.
realized, like, wow, I talk up more on the podcast.
Well, and before I had kids, I would play volleyball once or twice a week. I would golf once or twice a week. I would just go and hang out and have guys in my basement. We would just sit down and watch movies and all that
Yeah,
stuff is kind of gone now. So it's basically all morphed into this podcast. So
I know
I know
podcasts
exactly what you're saying.
and watching stuff either with my wife or by myself. It's just a
Hmm.
different time. I mean, I used to
Yeah.
go to the movies with my friend Mark. We'd go every Friday. I'd meet him.
Yeah.
Even his now wife, who Janice, who actually I met my wife at their wedding.
Oh,
So
nice.
we have a
I always
connection
wondered
there.
how you met. That's okay. That's cool. It's
Yeah,
a
we met at a
wedding.
friend's wedding, but not at the wedding. The next day, we were getting a shuttle to go to Reno, and we met at 7 in the morning.
The post-wedding
Post
stuff.
wedding, we didn't know we were at each other's so, but yeah,
Cool.
but we used to work together, but I didn't know it. It's just long story.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There's
That's for
a
a different
big,
podcast.
yeah,
Yeah.
for different, there's a big history that we surrounded each other for 15 years, and finally, it's crazy.
Gotcha.
But
Uh-huh.
anyway, so we used to go, it was around the time I remember 16 Blocks, Planet Terror, The Dark Knight, The
Uh-huh.
Grindhouse. Like around
Yeah.
those years, there was a bunch of Mission Impossible 3, I think, ish. So like
Yep.
'06, '05 to '08 or whatever. But anyway, we saw a
Yeah.
lot of movies across the universe stuff. So we'd go, and then some people didn't know me, like they thought I was fake. It was Mark, my friend Mark, just going to the movies by himself. So one day for Dark Knight, a bunch of people came, and I met a lot of my good friends, who are good friends now,
Uh-huh.
that day watching Dark Knight. So
Oh,
DC
that's
brought us
cool.
together.
Yes,
That's
exactly. And like I said, guarantee we'll have plenty of more awesome DC stuff in the future because
oh
we
yeah,
haven't got to our favorite DC stuff yet.
yeah,
I
no,
said, even
they're
though this is a good film, I wouldn't call this one of my favorite DC films. It's not
no,
something
it's
I'm
a
gonna watch
great,
over and over again.
yeah, no, it's a great film. Just not one. Well, to make the 1,000, it's a fate. It's my thousand
Yeah. Well, yeah,
favorite. But
yeah.
you know what I mean. Like I don't have to re-explain, but I mean, you know what I mean. And
Hmm.
anyone listening knows it's yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not putting movies I hate on this list. Like Prelude to a Kiss and You Got Mail aren't gonna make it. They're
That'll
not
have to be
making it.
those will have to be the special edition pods after we finish the main
It's the
list.
worst. One of the worst things as a film fan is when you love an actor and you go to a movie and you just don't like the movie. Our actors are doing well, but the movie just that's
Yep.
so disappointing. But that's part of it.
Yeah. Well, they can't all be winners.
No. But this
The
next one in my book is a winner, but critically it is not.
Where does it? Oh, yes. Yes.
817. So beneath Anna's striking beauty lies a secret that will unleash her indelible strength and skill to become one of the most feared government assassins. Well, I'm sensing a theme here a little bit.
Yeah.
The it's not Red Sparrow, but it's called Anna, and not Anna in Indiana, though it should have been called Anna in Indiana.
It probably would have made more money then.
Probably.
Released on June 21st, 2019. Excuse me, made 8 million on a $30 million budget, written and directed by Luc Besson. It's also his first film to make the film list. Actually, every one of the films we're talking tonight is their first director's first film to make the film list.
Debuts.
So, yep, not their debut films. The first film that you've made your
No,
film list.
they're
Yes,
filmless debuts.
film list debut. There you go.
That's what I meant.
Starring Sasha Luss as Anna, Helen Mirren as Olga, Luke Evans as Alex Chenkov, and Cillian Murphy as Lenny Miller. Anna, another assassin spy.
Well, sensing a theme here. Though Spy Game is one of my favorites.
Oh, that's very underrated.
I love that movie. Anyway, Anna. This was a pandemic watch. I had seen the trailer and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm a big Haywire fan.
Oh yeah,
I love females kicking ass. Just
I was
loved
a big
it.
fan of Atomic Blonde. I really like that one.
I like that movie too. I thought that was a
Yes.
good one, as well. The reason this film makes it here, I mean, I enjoyed the film, but there's this restaurant that like fight scene that's to me pretty freaking epic.
Okay,
It's John
before you go
Wickish.
any yeah, before
Okay.
you go any
Okay.
further, this was one I had not seen either, and I watched it, I don't know, a month or so ago, and it was on Netflix or Prime. So it was on one of those and I'm watching it, and I'm about I don't know, half an hour into it. I'm like, this is really kind of just a standard spot. Like, why is this on the list? And then in my notes right here, my note number 3, in all caps, amazing fight in the restaurant. That it is worth watching just for that restaurant scene. It is so freaking awesome because
It is incredible.
movie is Born Identity meets John Wick meets La Femme Nikita, which was
Yeah.
also a Luc Besson movie, and that's really what it is. And that fight scene is so freaking incredible. I couldn't believe it.
21 Jump Street made it because I saw Johnny Depp and my boy Penhall. Uh, you know, I did like this movie. I went through a Luke Evans phase when I was loving everything Luke Evans was in. I go through these, as you know.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And of course Helen Mirren. I mean, she can do no wrong in my book, and I like Cillian Murphy, of course.
With an
Uh,
American accent, which is unusual for him too. So
yes, yes. But that restaurant scene, I mean, I, I still am like, I love that scene so
yeah.
much. That's when this movie, I go, I don't care if this movie sucks the rest of the way. You gave me that. And I'm
Yep.
going to forever be thankful for
It's one of those movies, and every once in a while you get one of those where there is a scene that is just so good that you give the whole movie, the rest of the movie, a pass
that.
because that one scene is just so
Yeah.
amazing, so amazing. I was in shock with how good it was because I'm like, whoa, this, and it was just the choreography and that the action choreography of it. It was just on the music, the editing to it. It was just a phenomenal 5 or 10 minutes, however long that thing is. It
Yeah.
blew me away, that scene.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the rest of the movie, it's fine. I mean, they do some things in it where they have these weird time jumps to try and confuse you as to
Yeah.
what's, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you really don't need that. It could have worked just fine without that and just do the straightforward spy thing.
Right. Right.
But yeah, that scene in the restaurant is, I say, I don't care if it's a John Wick ripoff. It was amazing.
Whatever. I mean, they're talking about
Yes.
rip off of La Femme Nikita, but Luc
Yeah.
Besson is the actual
Yeah.
director.
That's exactly right. So
But yeah, no, the rest, that's all I have in my notes.
yes,
Restaurant.
that's
That's
really
all
all
you need to know. I
I
mean,
think I
it
have.
has the down and like the struggling. I mean,
Yeah.
and I mean, she's as the model. I like this movie probably more than most people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's stuff we've seen before.
Yeah, I still gave
Um,
it a positive. And it had 2 needle drops that got me like, okay, Pump Up the Jam and Need You Tonight by NXS. Sometimes it doesn't take much for me, like, okay, this movie knows what it is. It's
yeah,
putting
because it
those
was
kind
tough
of things
because
there.
I Red Sparrow and Anna. It was like,
Uh-huh.
and it's so close.
Yeah.
The restaurant scene. Well, it was tough because I was like Jennifer Lawrence restaurant scene, and I'm like I'll
It's
give some props to Jennifer Lawrence later on this film list
yeah.
when with some better movies, but it's in that same block, which again
And
I didn't realize I did that until today.
between those two, if you're comparing those two, I would probably rewatch this again before I think Red Sparrow was probably a better film, but I would watch this again just because that fight
Yeah,
scene
you have
is
more
so
fun and it's
yeah.
more Red Sparrow is darker, deeper,
Hmm.
very so that's
Yeah,
again.
that's more of a steak, and this is more of a Big Mac. And sometimes you just want a Big Mac. So
Sometimes you just want a Big Mac for that 15 minutes of pleasure or
yeah,
30 seconds, the way I eat. So Anna, yeah, if you haven't seen it, just even if just watch the restaurant scene. That's it.
yeah, yeah.
I bet you Axel's watching it right now. He's watching the restaurant scene right now while he's building Legos.
I bet you're right.
Wow. We only got one film left, Ando.
One to go.
Wow. And we're coming in right about time. We're doing good. All right. So 8:16, Ando. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. I'm curious to see your
Well,
relationship with this film.
before you even announce this one, and another theme from this one, there was a lot of them on this one that I had not seen until recently, and this is another one I have not seen until recently. So
Oh, wow. Okay. So this film I first saw, I want to say 8 years ago. My good friend Matt Rose, who has since he passed in 2019. I probably saw it in 2017 or 2018 for the first time. He recommended this movie to me, uh, along with The Sorcerer, Wages of Fear. Like there was certain he was recommending some movies that I hadn't seen, and I'm like, Jesus, another one. Um,
That's like every week when I look on the film list for me.
yeah, I
So
know, I know. Well, that's if you're
all these films
associated
that
with me,
it's yeah.
you would, yes, it would be. We'd probably, if we were roommates, I don't think we would have left the house for
Oh
like three
God,
years.
no, we would, and we our DVD library would have been like the
We need
Library
a
of
whole
Congress. Yeah.
Congress, I know. So okay, let's get to the movie. I come in at number 816. A young man hears a chance phone call telling him that a nuclear war has started and missiles will hit the city within 70 minutes. Talk about a tagline, a log line. I mean, a log line of like, this is my film. I'm like, I'm in. The
Yep.
film's called Miracle Mile.
Released on May 19th, 1989, made up $1 million on a $3.7 million budget. Written and directed by Steve DeJarnett, starring Anthony Edwards as Harry Washello, Mare Winningham as Julie Peters, John Agar as Ivan Peters, Lou Hancock as Lucy Peters, a very young Michael T. Williamson as Wilson, a very young Denise Crosby as Landa, and another couple I found at the end here, Jeanette Goldstein, who was in Aliens before this, actually, and right before she was in Lethal Weapon, as Beverly Hills Chick number one, and the film acting debut of future director Peter Berg as band member. So
Oh,
Miracle
Pete
Mile. So
Berg.
yes.
Yeah, so this was one of those movies that where they shot it, I've been to a million times. Um,
Of
what is it?
course.
Johnny's Coffee Shop, where
Hmm.
my theater company was right there. So when I first moved to LA, I would be at Johnny's all the time.
All the time.
They do a lot of filming there. I don't know if it's still because there's a Frank's Coffee Shop in Burbank they shoot at all the time, and Johnny's. I don't know if Johnny's, if it's just used for filming now or if it's not there anymore. It's been a while since I've been there. But man, I mean, the premise of this film is just like blew me away. And of course, going into the times now, I'm like, I'm gonna be anyway. I'm gonna receive a phone call. I'm not gonna be Jim Ellis receiving a phone call in the desert, but
Yeah.
um, no, this film it kind of blew me away. And you look at it, you're watching it, and you're like, is this real or not? Is it real or is it just panic? Is it real? Is it, and the payoff is kind of pretty interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
Um,
The last 15 minutes gets, in my notes, I said, the last 15 minutes or so gets nuts.
nuts. You want to get nuts?
Yes, very Michael Keaton nuts. It's this
Yeah.
the tone of this is too it's crazy too because like the first besides that initial phone like a lot of it is like a rom-com feel between Mare Winningham and Anthony Edwards. And I'm like what's happening? And then all of a sudden it goes into
It,
just
it,
crazy town
yeah.
and I liked it but I was like I can't think of any movie I've seen that's like this.
It's a unique film. Um,
Yes.
and it's why it made it, to the list because it'd be interesting if I had seen it as a kid, like I did Masters of the Universe in summer school.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how I'd feel about it now. I was impressed with it, not seeing it until 2017, 2018. And they got me. They got me hooked. And I guess like J.J. Abrams, something about a phone booth, a call. I'm in. I'm in.
And you know
But
what something that actually reminded me of a little bit and not it's not on this quality of level of film, but it's something we already talked about. It reminded me a little bit of Doctor Strangelove, where there's this kind of like, is this apocalypse going to happen or not happen?
right,
And
right.
it's got this weird undertone of comedy to it where because I actually laughed quite a few times watching the
There's some
film as
funny
well.
moments.
And I'm like, this is really, it's like the tone is just strange. And I mean, and I'm saying that in a good way because I can't
Yeah.
really compare it to anything. Like so
No,
many other
it,
things we've talked about, especially even tonight, it's been like, oh, it reminded me of this, or reminded me of that, or reminded me of this film. I can't really say that about it.
I'd have to do some more rewatches to really get, I mean, but it honestly, it leaves you on, and I think a lot of the shifts in, like you said, romantic comedy to mystery to all of a sudden apocalyptic, like what the end of
And
the world, what,
action and yeah,
uh,
everything.
it's almost like it makes you uneasy, and you're like, is that, because is this a panic? Was this call, like, is it real? And it's just like the interweaving of all this stuff. It messes with your
Intentional.
head.
Yeah, intentional to make you feel
Intentional. Yeah.
uncomfortable. I think I like that because I of the little bit of there's not a ton of research or not a ton of stuff written about this, but one of the things I did see, it was considered for one of the stories in Twilight Zone, the movie, which came out a couple years before this. And after reading that, I'm like, it does feel kind of Twilight Zone-y.
It almost feels like the Burgess Meredith,
Yeah.
but it does feel, yeah, because I noticed that because um they the screenwriter, I mean, he kind of went through like a little Rocky-esque where a lot of it people wanted the ending change. They wanted the
Hmm.
ending change, wanted the ending change, and he was no, no. But it's funny that it was then possibly going to be Twilight Zone the movie, and I'm like, oh my God, that makes sense. That would be one of the films, and it would be
Yeah.
great.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then I mean, right before shooting, I mean, Nicolas Cage and Kurt Russell were
Yeah.
gonna be it. It's so
That's
funny how many of these films, when you do a little research and you're realizing how the casting, it's not just I want Johnny Depp. Okay, Johnny Depp's in the film. It was like
yeah.
Kurt Russell was set to win, and then he scheduling or backed out, and it's
And
crazy.
they would have all been, like I said, and to think about it, all those things, those two, and even Anthony Edwards would have all been up for the same roles all the time. Like we had talked about somebody else before, and I never really thought about that back in those. Like, oh, I bet so and so could have. I never. It's interesting just seeing the film history as to what could have been and what. Say, like these guys were all up against for the same. I mean, I'm sure Anthony Edwards and Nicolas Cage were both up for Big Trouble in Little China and all these other
Or
ones that
see,
I'm
yeah,
sure
it's
they were
very
all up for that kind
possible.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's funny because, like, also too, and they became actually, I think they were best friends, like Tobey Maguire and Leonardo DiCaprio. They were
Hmm.
on the scene. I remember reading articles when Matthew McConaughey got A Time to Kill,
Yep.
and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck knew McConaughey. Of course,
Hmm.
Dazed and Confused with Affleck, that whole, and they're like, wow, they're giving him $1 million to do a movie. Like, and
Yeah.
then a couple years later, Matt Damon gets The Rainmaker, makes his first
Yep.
mill or whatever. But like it's funny because when nowadays we do a lot of self-tape auditions. That in the last 6 months I've gone to one in person, one commercial audition
Oh,
in person.
yeah.
But back in the day, I used to see a lot of people I know and reading for the same roles.
See the
And
same guys for everything,
well,
probably.
what scared me was they were reading for, but I was starting before the pandemic. I was starting to read for roles, and a lot of famous people would be in the room.
Oh,
Like I remember I read for the Sopranos movie, the Saints, the prequel, and
yep.
the dad from the Wonder Years was in there. But
Oh,
I think I
really?
don't know. I think he was reading for a different role,
Dan
and
Lauria,
he's
I think his
Dan
name was.
Lauria, yeah.
Yep.
But okay, so at the time, my management company represented uh, Martin Cove from Karate Kid Sensei,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and so when I saw Dan, I was like, Marty. He goes, no, I'm not reading for that role. It's for you younger kids. I'm reading for this role. Like thank God he didn't get him. That I thought it was. I called him Marty Cove instead of, and I'm like, what the? Because I was parked in my car and I was early, so I was just going over the scene and stuff. And I saw him driving around to get a Cadillac or something. And I'm like, that guy looks familiar. And then sure enough, I'm leaving the audition and he's there. And he shook my hand. He was all happy to see me like he knew me. I'm, I'm like, yeah, I was your son in the Wonder Years. No, but it's just one of those experiences where you're like, if we are reading for the same role, of course, sometimes you'll get age difference where they'll see older and younger. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna. He's probably worked with the director. I mean, he's
Yeah.
Dan
You're
Lauria.
not going to get it over somebody that's got a IMDb page that's 20 pages long,
Unless
like those
unless they
guys.
decide, the only way that happens is if the director or even the casting director fight for you, or is like, no, this is like what's Evangeline Lilly in Lost. Like
Oh,
when she
yep.
auditioned, she had done nothing,
Yep.
but she looked exactly their vision of Kate.
Hmm.
That's how in the Star City Murders, Amy Mata. We saw Amy Mata. That's exactly how me and Giles saw Kate. Like it
That's
was
it.
like
Yep.
it happened. That happens. you just, especially when you're writing and creating, you have this idea of
Hmm.
what and then sometimes things change. Like when I got my Game Shakers role, I was reading for a different role, and the cast director was like, no, 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 I want you to read this role. And it was more the mobster with the hammer, and and
Yeah.
they booked me. But they did that on the spot. Like I was reading a different role and they said, take a few minutes. So I was like, okay. So luckily I had a wife beater underneath my button down. So I buttoned it up. I rolled the sleeves up so I looked more like mobby.
Yeah.
Um, but like, that's how it happens. And that's why too, like it's funny, I've seen The Chosen, this show on Amazon,
Yeah.
coming out. I auditioned for they were auditioning for like guest stars for this season. And so Carla Hools, I think did Honora, casted Honora. She's
Oh,
pretty good. I read
yep.
for her years ago for The Bridge.
Oh,
Uh
yeah, the FX show. Yep.
yeah, it was for a small role there, but then they asked me, which sucks. They go, do you know Spanish? And I was like, oh, I can understand some of that, but no, I couldn't lie
Yeah.
because they were looking also for people they liked if they spoke Spanish. It was, so you missed the opportunity. I'm like, damn it, can I go back in time, learn Spanish fully?
Yeah. No
And then maybe
kidding.
that changes things. But it's just like, it's the whole concept of, that's like Timothée Chalamet reading for the role. It's like you may not get the role, but if you do a great job and they like you, they're gonna bring you back.
Keep you in mind for something else. Yeah.
I mean, there's this other Amazon Prime show I read for. They actually brought me back for another role. I didn't get it, but they brought me back twice. So they evidently
Well,
liked what I did, and then it's just a matter of, whoever they hire. And
but
that's
even
all you
then,
can do.
and then hopefully they remember you for whatever the next thing they cast.
You never know. It's always like I keep track of who I read for and who stuff,
Yep.
and it's that's how it works. I mean, you need the casting director to like you to pass you on to producers or the director, and you know so it's a tough business.
Hmm.
It's a
Oh,
tough business, so it's hard, and you have to get lucky. You have to just
just hearing the stories that you've told me over the years, it's
it's
endlessly
crazy.
fascinating. It has to, yeah, I can't even imagine like I said, the luck it takes to make it
I
happen.
mean, and nowadays with all these self tapes, so you're getting self tapes, you're doing them and you're sending them into casting. You're not going so they're allowing more people to audition. It's more of a numbers game as well. And then
Hmm.
anyone they've booked before. I mean, there's so many elements, but you have to like just do your job and then hope for the
Yep.
best. It's
Yep.
the best thing you can do. And it's tough because the first I remember my first big audition was for the second Fast and the Furious. And I had my heart set, like I worked so freaking hard on it. I was getting burnt by a rat with a pail. It was the Mark Boone
Uh-huh.
Jr. detective role. He got the role.
Uh-huh.
But I
Yep.
freaking was doing like my De Niro Deer Hunter. I went off. I went off. And they liked what I did. But then I saw Mark Boone Jr. gets the role. I'm like, okay, well, but I was so like in my head, if I get this movie, this is gonna change. And when it
Yep.
doesn't happen, you go.
It's got to be
So
crushing.
I
Yeah.
had to learn, to be even keel. And
Yeah.
granted, you know, there's tons of roles that I wish I got through the years, but you just say, hey, at least I had the opportunity to read for roles, and hopefully my movie will open some doors, and you know, hopefully you'll see me on something that you really like, not like these films on my film list.
You know
But
what? The film that you were on this group of films, I did like that film. So
yeah, no,
we're
Atticus
good.
Institute, man, good
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
And next week we will have another one that I'm in, I believe, coming out.
Oh,
It's
you know
either the
what?
next film list or the film list after.
I didn't look that far ahead, so I'm looking
Yes, there's
forward to
another
seeing what
film
that
I was
is.
in as well that is making the film list.
Oh, you know what? I guess I think I do know what that is now that I'm thinking about it. Yes.
So a little tease for next time when you listen to it in 2028.
Yeah. Or 2029. We'll see.
We'll see. It depends. But
Yeah.
but no, I love, again, Ando, thanks again. You've been listening to the film list, my 1,000 favorite films of all time. Remember, you can go to dvrpodcast.com, check out all the shows we've covered. Right now, we're covering Duster, me, Ando, and Axel. There's some great pods. Axel and Ann, new member of our DVR podcasting network, they're covering Sirens on Netflix. And then we got a back catalog of Mindhunter and Game of Thrones, and there's a lot of
White
lost
Lotus,
archives.
Severance,
White Lotus,
Severance that are a little more current.
Severance. I mean, there's a lot.
The French.
Severance.
I forgot the French pronunciation.
What's the show from the creators of Mayor of Easttown that we're going to be covering in the fall?
With Mark Ruffalo, and I cannot remember what the title of it is. It's on
Axel
HBO
said
and
it
Mark
to me
Ruffalo,
the other day because I talked to Waterfront. He goes, "Aren't we covering that?"
Is it Trap?
Tusk? Trap? Tusk?
Trap
Task?
sound right?
Task?
Let's see. I might as well get there. Yep, it's Trap.
Trap. Is it Trap?
Oh, no, that's not Trap.
It's not Trap.
How about this?
If it was Tusk, I'd sing some Fleetwood Mac for you. Just tell them that you love me, baby. Ba-ba-da, ba-ba-da, ba-ba-ba-da. Tusk.
Task.
So Tusk, Trap, and Task.
Yes. Oh my God, we got a cameo.
Are we done?
A late version cameo stepped in. Yes.
I've been listening the whole time on my phone.
Have you really?
Nice.
Did you have a nice shower, Axel?
I did.
You look
You look very sleek.
Lotion. I've been putting more lotion on my cheeks. It's really working.
Got the Pat McAfee going.
I think I'm a little better looking than Pat McAfee.
So yeah, hi Axel. We just finished this section of the film list.
Still live on YouTube.
Yeah,
we're still live on YouTube.
Yeah, we're gonna we're just ending.
We're just wrapping
tonight.
Up. Yes.
To recap.
Oh, sorry.
At 8:25, the Fearless Vampire Killers. 8:24, the Atticus Institute. 8:23, Axel Foley's Summer School. 8:22, Prisoners. 8:21, 3 Days of the Condor, based on 6 Days of the Condor. 8:20, Masters of the Universe. 8:19, Red Sparrow. 8:18, Joker. 8:17, Anna. Not Anna in Indiana, but Anna. And 8:16, Miracle Mile, folks.
That's a good one. I watched that many times. That's one of the ones that they used to play on HBO all the time.
Like they used to say World of Video. Great World of Video. On the loop.
All right, boys, ready to wrap it up?
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Remember to check us out on the YouTube, like us, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you want to become a Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/DVR. And for a couple bucks a month, you can get pods early, exclusive pods, and all the goodies Axel will send you in his goodie bag to you. So for Ando, for Axel,